Hello and welcome everybody to the stream. Tonight we're joined by special guests, Centroid Aerial Images and Crags. You know, so do you want to say hello, guys? We'll start with Centroid. How's it doing, mate?
Very well, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming back to the stream. If you were here last week, and if you are new, welcome.
Yes. And Crags, do you want to say hello, mate? Loving the hat.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tinfoil Hat stream.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's going to be more of a tinfoil hat show soon enough.
Yeah, man. Equinox Photography Bristol. I'll go straight in with this. Says need to lose that music at the start. Did my head in. I'll take that on board, mate. Don't worry. Next time, you know, all will be well. Trust me. I won't put music on next time. I've got a new video to release straight after this, so that one will play on the pre-roll from now on. So that's all good. Yeah. Just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. I hope you're liking my hat. It was quite rushed together. It was meant to be an afro, and as you can see, that's not quite played out. But there's plenty of time to put that right. Not on stream. I'll do it after the stream. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. I'm just going to do a quick roll call of everybody who's in the chat. So thank you for joining us. It is an absolute honour that you've joined us. Essentially, OBS seems to be going a little bit haywire on here. I'm just going to adjust a few settings just to make sure that it's running all right. I am still fairly new to OBS, but I am getting the hang of it. Okay, so
And Equinox says your music's still playing in the background.
Yeah, okay. Get rid of that then. Right, okay, sorry. Now, all should be well. They probably can't hear you though. 1 second, I'll add a new audio capture. Yep. I was in a bit of a rush to set this up. I do apologise. Now, all should be well. Say hello, guys, please. Where is that audio capture? 1 second. Properties again. Yeah, I'm still trying to work this out. Please bear with me one minute while I'm getting this sorted out. Yeah, I should have an actual capture on there now. Yeah, so the countdown. Yeah, get rid of that 1 second and I might be able to see what's going on then. Yep, say hello guys, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, now all should be well. The music's gone. Audio level should be good. I'm just going to sort that out. Usually my mic's a little bit too loud. Yeah, and then I'm going to get on with the roll call. Thanks everybody for joining us. We have a whole set of great topics once again. I'm just going to shout out a load of channels. Please let me know in the chat that everything is now working just fine. It should be anyway. So that's all good. So we'll start off, Centroid and Crags. Great to see you guys. Thanks for joining me on another Tinfoil Hat stream. Joseph Ericsson, are you doing all right, buddy? Jean-Marc Boucher, or Boucher, I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name. Great to see you. I don't think I've seen you before, but I hope you're doing well. Leonard Shea, hello, buddy.
Interactive says your mic's too low, Steve.
My mic's too low. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm just getting the audio levels set up right, okay? Yeah, Leonard Shea, great to see you. Eagle VP, you know, I was speaking to him just before this stream. Just doing a roll call on here. Like I say, visiting people's channels, checking them out, subscribing is highly recommended, you know. Despite what the tinfoil hat says, it's got a mind of its own, this thing. Random Land, hello, mate. Everybody who's in here is very much appreciated that you can join us. We have a whole host of great topics to talk about tonight, so that's all good. We're gonna get stuck in, yeah. Okay, so we've got Random Land in here. Missing Persons and Mysteries, hello, how's it going? Who else? Joseph Ericsson, great to see you. Already got called out there. There is a lot of people in the chat, so I do apologise here. The Lou D711, great to see you too. I hope I'm not missing anybody out. I don't think I am. Who else? Yep, just having a look through. Design and More, great to see you. Yeah, just looking through the chat here. There we go. Dorian Gray, Equinox Photography, honestly, Poet Maker, Abandoned City Camo Crew. Honestly, we've got the full house in tonight. We've got all the great people in, which is what I like. That's brilliant. Okay. So, Crags, do you want to tell us a little bit about your hat and what the inspiration for it was?
Well, to be honest, Ange did most of this. While I was at work today, just put together a nice little kind of raster hat. I don't know if that was the intention.
Okay.
Oh, it's meant to be camouflage, like camouflage.
Oh, like a ghillie suit. You got to go full ghillie suit then next time.
RJS RC, great to see you. Now, please remember, if you want to make your own tinfoil hat, which I think some people have been assembling their own tinfoil hats, essentially, if you send me a picture in to Twitter at views_UK, it is displayed on the stream for you to check out, or on Facebook on the Ava UK Facebook page, which is also written on the stream itself. So please check it out, you know, and send me your pictures. And if you win, I think we'll leave that till about 45 minutes to an hour in, once we get a nice spot where we can start looking at some pictures in the background, and I'll have a pick of who I think's the best. Okay, then you get constant shout outs for the rest of the stream. I mean, what's not to love about that, you know? The Beard times 16, that's a great channel name. I do like that. Great to see you, mate. Welcome to the stream. And remember, if you've got any sort of conspiracy theory, any random stuff you want to talk about to do with conspiracies, or even, you know, things that are a bit fishy, a bit dodgy, let us know in the chat. And I mean, we'll go into it. I've got my windows ready with a few, not just a few, loads of really good conspiracy theories in the background, most of which we've not even covered before. So there's plenty of opportunities for all sorts of crazy stuff to go on tonight. I'm just changing your window size there, Mark. Okay. Skype through OBS is known to go absolutely haywire. So, yeah, exactly. And that's what it's doing. So hopefully you should be locked down now. Everything should be fine. Yorkshire Drone Seekers, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. And there is a meet-up in the Crags. Apparently, one Sunday we're gonna go meet the Yorkshire Drone Seekers, aren't we? So. Yes, there we go. Like I say, I'm sorry if it all went a bit to pot for the first couple of minutes of the stream. Was a little bit of a rush job. Put it together real quick, locked it down, and away we go. All right, so that is just the way we want it to go. So, Centroid, I've been assured that you have one sort of kick-ass tinfoil hat. So do you want to get that for us, mate?
I did not say it was that good, but
you've been bigging it up all week, mate. Come on, you've got to represent now.
It took me a little time this morning to make it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't in a rush for the stream, and when I got done with it, I realized I needed some filler. Don't worry, this is not the hat. I hadn't taken into consideration the headphones, so I can nix the filler, so that's going to go. So if you might recall this little discussion we had last week, and I'm a little embarrassed to put this on, but I mean, you know, the bar was set, so here it is.
Whoa! Whoa! You seen that? What the hell? That is awesome, man. That is awesome.
I don't know if you remember that discussion, but we talked about the Roman hat, Roman helmet, and I figured, why not? And yeah, that's 2 full rolls of tinfoil there.
Do you know what the nickname of that one is?
No, what is
Saracen.
But it fits perfectly with the headphones. That was a happy accident.
Craig's nicknamed the Marley, and mine's nicknamed the Rush Job.
And I was afraid it was going to fall off, but the headphones are doing quite a nice job holding it in place. So, and it's keeping these things out of my face too. So I'm very happy about that.
this was meant to be an afro, by the way. If you couldn't tell, and I look more like Admiral Akbar off Star Wars. So yeah, of which I've just been messing about the impressions just before the stream started. So I need to get it out of my system. It's a trap. Look, from the side, it's got like that shape. Yeah, okay. Oh, we like a good giggle. All right, we've just got a few new people have just come in. I'm just going to say hello to everybody. We've got Nathan Likes Drums in. Great to see you. We're having a bit of a giggle at the minute. Dorian Gray. Interactive DNA. I hope you're doing well, mate. EBR FPV. Wow. I'm loving it tonight. Loads of people in. All great people. Like I say, it is encouraged to visit everybody and check everyone's channels out. If you gain some subs tonight, that's just a bonus. You know what I mean? We're just here having fun. You know, that's what we do, talking about conspiracies on a Sunday night. Why not? Nothing else better to do on a Sunday is a nice lazy Sunday night. So let me have a little dip into the conspiracy pool. And before I start, do either of you guys want to sort of put forward a conspiracy theory maybe that you might want to talk about? Because I've got quite a list going on here. So is there anything you want to talk about in particular? I think Craggs might have had a couple of ideas. Did you want to throw a few?
I've got one which I spoke to you about last night. Do you really want me to bring it up as early as this?
We'll bring it up a bit later.
Okay.
I've got some info in the background, you see. So I'll be sort of perusing that as we go along. And that was a good word, wasn't it? Perusing. Okay. So we'll start off then with... I'm just looking down this lovely list that I've got. Okay, let's start with one that's just out there. Let's start the party off. And this conspiracy theory involves Saddam Hussein had a Stargate. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is the brief rundown of the information. Okay. And I am reading this directly. I am going to put the link to it. I do have many other links to sites here, so whatever I'm referring to, I will put the link there for you to go see yourself. Okay. And I do have a little bit of background knowledge about this stuff that I can actually chip in with, but I am reading directly from that site. Okay. From shortlist.com. I've just put the link in there. So the theory that the Second Gulf War was waged in order to close a Stargate owned by Saddam Hussein, thus preventing the ambitions of the New World Order and preventing an alien invasion of Earth, which is not a widespread conspiracy theory. Yeah, however, if you study the picture above closely, it looks suspiciously like Saddam could be saying Stargate. Yeah, and apparently that's about as much evidence as there is on this site anyway. But, I mean, I've heard this conspiracy theory before. Yeah, interactive DNA. I didn't say Stargate. I said Stargate. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, let's just sort of make sure that we're all being understood here. Stargate. Yes, okay. Yeah.
That's a different conspiracy.
He had a gay star. Yeah. So come on, let's have a little thing, because this site that I'm on don't give great amounts of details. It's more literally like in a nutshell, which is quite good. It gives us loads of topics to get through. So what do you reckon then? Saddam Hussein having a Stargate, that's why the US invaded? Sounds a little bit outlandish to me. We'll start with Craggs, mate. What do you reckon to that?
Well, I hadn't even heard of this, so, but no, I don't believe it.
No, okay. What do you reckon, Centroid? Is there any truth to this?
I've never heard of it, although I do have to comment on EBR FPV. Said now the Gulf War makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I'm going to have to say no on that one.
Yeah, okay. Like I say, we're just doing a load of quick fire ones to begin with. Okay. Let's go for another one then, because that one was a quick fire one. We'll do a load of quick fire ones before we get into the meaty ones. Okay. Please remember, if you've made yourself a tinfoil hat, send the picture in to me on Twitter or on Facebook, Ava UK. It's written on the stream. So, yeah, easy. Just send a picture in, even if you just whip up a tinfoil hat while we're going. Okay? B-Town Paranormal, great to see. He did feature on the last tinfoil hat stream. That's all good. If you want to send in a picture of any new tinfoil hats you've come up with, please be my guest. And the winner gets regular channel shout-outs on here. And I might even feature your channel and have a little run through of it as well if there's time for that. I think that sounds fair enough. Okay, so okay, let's go on to another one then. Saved by the Bell. Do you remember the old kids show on TV?
Yeah, yes.
Everyone's heard the name Saved by the Bell.
Zach and Screech. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Saved by the Bell was a vehicle for the Illuminati. All right, I just thought I'd hang on that for a second just to see if there was any sort of reactions to it. And then this is what the article says on this website. Turns out that the teen high school comedy Saved by the Bell was riddled with hidden messages endorsing Satanism. This website, and there is a link to it. I did put the link to this site in the chat a bit further up. This website exposes the true intentions of the show's creators and its stars, as well as the hidden messages in the theme tune. Despite the Illuminati being all-powerful space lizards who control the world and everything in it, they couldn't find it in their scaly little hearts to reward the guy who played Mr. Belding with a movie career. Some gratitude. So apparently, yeah, Saved by the Bell is riddled with all sorts of Illuminati symbolism and things like that. I don't think that's probably intentional. What do you reckon, Crags? I wish I did have some sort of slideshow, but I wouldn't want to get a copyright strike for showing anything, basically. That's why I'm just having to give the link. So what do you reckon, Crags? What's going on with this?
Again, I didn't know anything about this one prior to you mentioning it.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably going to say no. I don't think so.
Centroid, what do you reckon? Was Screech in on it, or?
Well, actually, speaking of Screech, I'm trying to read the chat too. What's his name? I got there. It is. Lou D711 just informed us that Screech is in jail.
Yeah, and he also starred in a couple of pornos as well.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna come from the left field on this way and say plausible, only for the sheer fact that it would be the only explanation as to how that thing stayed on the air as long as it did.
That's a good point. Okay. Yeah, a few more people just came in. Pix's channel, great to see you. I assume you've just come over from the Drone Seekers live stream. Excellent, great to see you, and I'm really looking forward to meeting up with you on Thursday, by the way. It's going to be brilliant. Heaven's Gates Cherry Farm, great to see you as well. Who else? I did see one more, I believe, in here. Chris the Fam, how's it going, buddy? Just looking through. Lauren Amy, that's my my partner. She's sat just off camera, occasionally whispering things in my ear. Okay. 8-Bit Reactor, how's it going? I was a guest on Psycho Ghost Tracker's live stream this morning. You know, great to meet you, mate. I had a really good chat about all sorts. RTI Power Sports, loads of new faces in tonight. It's really good. Everyone here is welcome, and like I say, extremely encouraged, you know, everybody by me to go check everyone's channels out and whatnot. Country Cycle Cam, how's it going? I was on the same live stream, the Psycho Ghost Trackers, on the panel earlier this morning. That's cool. That's all good. Yeah, cheers for the invite, Steve. Sorry, can't make it up there. It's all good, mate. It was just an open invite. Just a massive, like, jolly in Sheffield. Meet up with Chris Pickering and Jeanette Pickering. Possibly make a lemon drizzle or sample some of the world-famous lemon drizzle. You know, and go flying, exploring and whatnot. It's going to be a really good day, I know it. Not only that, but Eagle VP's in the wagon with us lot, innit, Crags? So
yes,
that's going to be a good giggle. Yes. So
looking forward to it, Eagle.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to have to sit on your knee, Crags, unfortunately.
That's fine.
Now, this one's quite well known. that, yeah, Hitler is still alive. You ever heard this one?
Who?
Lots of times.
Lots of times. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I finally
it's one
found
that's-
one where there might be some knowledge on it.
No.
No, I've
I'm
never
sorry.
seen anything that's convinced me, but ever since the end of the Second World War, there's been rumours about Hitler and other top Nazis escaping to Brazil and various other places. Is it the Arctic Circle as well?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Supposedly a base there, but then we're getting into Hollow Earth and what have you.
Oh, yes. Okay, right. I'm just going to read this article real quick.
Okay.
It's only like one short paragraph. The advent of the internet hasn't just cooked up new conspiracy theories, it's also accelerated existing ones. Hitler is still alive rumours have circulated since the 1970s, fueled by the fact that his crony, Joseph Mengele, hid in South America. Stories like this one, however, speculate the 125-year-old Hitler has been responsible for various world disasters, including 9/11 and the 2010 Gulf oil spill, which happened on his birthday. Other theorists say he died in 1984 in Brazil, aged 94, or in Argentina, aged 73. So there is a lot of conflicting information, it seems, on this. What more do you know about it, Crag? So, plausible or whatnot? I mean, his body was never found, was it? So...
For me, no. It's never seemed very plausible. I think if he had lived, he'd have turned up by now. Somebody would have, there would have been some evidence, I think.
I did remember seeing a photo one time of some guy in Argentina that looked just like Hitler, like an old Hitler. But you never know whether that's Photoshop or not, do you?
Well, also, lots of people look like other people. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. I mean, a lot of this, I'm not sure. I mean, there's the film, isn't there, The Boys from Brazil, which I think got a lot of people thinking about the idea that these people might have survived. But I don't believe it, no.
No, fair enough. What do you reckon, Centroid? Did he die in that bunker by suicide, or did he slip away to South America or Antarctica? What do you reckon?
Well, I think it's possible he slipped away. I don't know where he would have gone. Russ from Droning About Northwest pointed out he'd be at least 100 by now, or something to that effect. So I don't think he's alive now if he slipped away, but I think it's plausible he got away, but I don't say he's alive now, not at all. Unless he's a guard at Graceland where Elvis is a groundskeeper. That'd be fitting. But no, I don't think he's alive now. But I do think it's plausible he got away, and with the world the way it is with the fake news, they probably said they got him, or he committed suicide just to make everybody feel like he's gone. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the Russians claimed to have Hitler's skull, didn't they? Did you know about this?
I did not.
Yeah, they claimed to have his skull, and tests in the last couple of years, they actually allowed people to test it, and it turned out to be a female skull, so it definitely wasn't Hitler's skull. But a body was never found, so it is highly plausible that he did slip away. Very unlikely that he committed suicide, to be fair. Even if he's in his bunker or anything like that. He wouldn't just give up like that. You know what he was like. He was a fanatic, wasn't he? He wouldn't have just done that, I don't think. And even if the Nazi regime was failing in Germany to actually win the war on both sides, he still would have had a lot of people who supported him 100%, who would have got him out of there somehow, undercover, and got him out of there to somewhere, I don't know, but it's like Mein Führer, innit? There literally would be people who would get him wherever he wanted to be, I think. So, highly plausible. I don't know about South America or Antarctica. Who knows? Yeah. The Lou D711 says highly likely he was hit with a bomb. Possibly indeed. Like I say, after the bunker, no one really knows where he went. That's all highly secretive. The possibility is quite great that he went to South America. It is quite well documented that Joseph Mengele, his crony, the guy who did all the experiments on the twin children and all that lot, you know, the Nazi eugenics program. That's all very well documented, and he did go to South America. So, yeah, highly likely that Hitler followed him or went with him somehow. I don't know. Do you have anything more to add on that, Craggs? Or
Well,
I'm willing to believe it's possible. I just don't think it happened.
Yeah.
That's my feelings on it. In the end, you know, I have no more evidence than anybody else.
Yeah, fair enough. Anything to add, Centroid? I'm sorry I cut you off there, mate.
oh, no, my apologies. No, I don't have anything to add to the Hitler part, but I did hear a rumor, and I guess you can call it a conspiracy, that one of his cronies did slip away, and he opened up the Dos Equis brewery in Mexico.
All right, what's that?
Well, that's it. That's all I heard. I heard because he took his beer making skills from Germany, and theoretically, if you're drinking Dos Equis, you're actually drinking German beer, apparently, not Mexican beer.
Yeah.
But again, only a rumor. Only a rumor. I have nothing to substantiate that.
Yeah, that's fine. Droning About Northwest is asking, may he please show his helmet for a few seconds. That's absolutely fine. We are on Skype. I have chatted with Droning About Northwest, sorry, a few times in the past. If you haven't got a Skype account, it's really easy to set up. If you set it up real quick and put your link in there to your Skype account, and I'll get you in this call and put you on the NDI filter through OBS. That's absolutely fine with me. Okay, I'd love to have you as a guest on here. Okay, so if you want to do that, you're more than welcome. Just let me know in the chat. Okay.
Russ is a good.
Yeah, I'm quickly just going to check Facebook to see if we've had anything in, and then I'll quickly check Twitter as well, just to see, because I haven't got them open at the minute. I just want to see, and I would love it if there's some picture that just absolutely blew me away. There is a few new notifications, so I'm just going to have a quick look on here, have a look through what's been posted through my letterbox. Just loading up now. There we go. Yeah, no, it's all unrelated. It's fine. Like I say, AV UK on Facebook, or my Twitter handle is written on the stream. So I'm just checking this out. I am quite new to Twitter. I don't really know what's going on. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on at all, to be fair. There we go. I'm just seeing if I've got any messages in or anything like that. Nope, that's all good. Notifications, one message. No, that's from way back. Yep, that's cool. Anybody who wants to take a picture of their own tinfoil hats, please. I'd love it if you joined us. It's all a good giggle. I don't necessarily believe that these things stop mind rays or anything like that.
I mean, this isn't serious?
Hey, it could be. It could be. You never know, do you? You never know. Hello then, we've got a couple more new people in. Happy learning. I hope you're doing well. City Girl, Country Heart. Oh, you're both more than welcome in here. Great to see you. If you got pictures of tinfoil hats, the links are in here, if you can see them, above me, to Twitter or Facebook. Ideally, Facebook, I'd say, because I know how to use that one better. Okay, so let's get on to the next one, because there is a few to get through, as you may already know. Right, here we go then, and the moon is going to be featured again, but not the moon landings. Okay, we'll sort of gloss over that for now. This one involves the moon doesn't exist.
Okay.
Okay, let me give you a quick, a quick little rundown of what this site says, but I've got a little bit of information that's more than this anyway. So the article says, it's no good looking at it night after night. The moon doesn't exist. It's a hologram put there by persons unknown. Of course, serial conspiracy theorist David Icke, or David Icke, it depends on who you ask, has a theory. There are also countless YouTubers keeping an eye out, one of whom has gone as far as looking at it regularly for a year. Right? So really doing their own work on it then.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of these theories before? I'll start with Centroid this time. Have you ever heard any theories that the moon doesn't exist, or even it's not what it's claimed to be?
No, I can't say I've heard that one, but I'm not surprised anymore coming on this channel. Not surprised.
Only the best conspiracy theories on this stream. Right. Crags, have you heard about this hologram moon theory before?
I've certainly heard people suggest it's a hologram, but I've heard so many things about the moon. I think in the end, there's loads of evidence that suggests the moon is exactly what we think it is, and I think I'd go with the science. Yes.
Essentially, there is the holographic universe theory. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Which obviously,
Vaguely.
Yeah, the moon could tie into that, I guess. Which is
Yeah.
where... Sorry, go on, Centroid.
No, we might as well just say we're in the Matrix while we're at it.
Hey, they all tie in. They all tie in.
Yeah, I guess so.
Plenty of people think they are.
Yeah, essentially, there was a test done on the moon. Like I say, it is sort of just moon conspiracy theories in general, this one. Not the moon landings. That's an entire different kettle of fish right there. Essentially, one of the NASA tests, they actually crashed an ascent stage into the moon deliberately to see what had happened. And apparently the moon reverberated for over an hour, which was completely unexpected, all across one surface of the moon. And it was likened to the ringing of a bell. Have you ever heard of that theory, the hollow moon theory?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, and then they actually repeated the test at a later date with a bit more oomph to it, and the moon actually reverberated for over 3 hours, apparently, suggesting that it is hollow, you know, because it would be like ringing a bell, essentially. What are your thoughts on that, Centroid? Do you think the moon's been hollowed out or started off as hollow?
Nope.
Nope. All right, well, that's what we're here to do, innit? We're here to bust them conspiracy theories wide open, you know. Crags, what's your thoughts on it, mate? We're sort of quick firing them. Is it a load of nonsense?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a bloody great rock. We know what it is.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, just take the tides, for example. I mean, unless they make it, I mean, everything's just made up. Like I said, it's just crazy.
Yeah, but then it goes into possible existing alien colonization of the moon. Have you ever heard of that one?
Yeah, but I was afraid you were going to get into that damn lizard shapeshifting thing again.
Further up the chat, EBRFPV did ask me to say it. I'm saving that, mate. I said it so many times last stream. I thought it's not going to have the same impact if I mention it every 2 minutes. So, you know, the alien reptilian shapeshifting hybrids will have to wait till later, unfortunately.
I get a chuckle every time because I still can't say it.
Yeah, City Girl Country Heart. I think I shouted you out already. I hope you're doing well. Dangerous Criminals, great to see you. You've got a great channel, mate. I've been watching a few videos here and there. I haven't had time to really dig deep into there, but I will get to that. Ultimate Fish Keeping shows in. Oh, loads of great channels in tonight. Happy learning as well. Great to see you. Stephen Pilcher's back. Oh, man. Honestly, loads of great people. You got your Blue Wrench from last time as well. Paul from PMDB Entertainment. Great channel. I always shout him out. I've spent loads of time in his streams and just chatting away and whatnot. Manic Magic's in here. Says, I hear the moon is being mined for its resources by a joint venture by Russia and USA for material of Brillian. I don't think I've heard of Brillian before. I don't know. I think it might be a misspell, possibly. Finger slipped on the keyboard or something. Dorian Gray says China wants to build an artificial moon. Illumination satellite planned to launch in 2020, I think. Oh, blooming heck. Don't tell the flat earthers that. They'll say space don't exist.
I had heard
that's the next logical step for them. Now, the thing is, some of the carbon dating tests that they've actually done on moon rocks and moon dust, apparently that was brought back, apparently reveals that the rocks on the moon are actually older than the oldest sort of rocks on Earth. So it is there is a theory, and I don't even know if I'd want to call it a conspiracy theory. I think there is sort of scientific grounds for it, that essentially the moon may even be older than Earth, which would completely shatter the theory that the moon was a chunk of Earth originally. What do you reckon about that then, Craggs? Do you reckon that's a possibility, that the moon might be artificial in some way?
I don't think it's artificial, but I don't see why we can't be wrong about it being part of the Earth. I mean, why couldn't it be another body from space that's probably just ended up in Earth's orbit or has collided at some point? I can go along with that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Droning about Northwest. It's asking Centroid, what are my contact details for Skype? My phone number. No, it's not a phone number, mate. Essentially, you'd log in with an email address. You'd have a username, and all I'd need is your username on Skype, and then I can add you into this call, okay, if you want to join us. That's all good. We are going to be going for a few hours, so be prepared. But if you've got a good enough hat, mate, welcome to the stream. Centroid, honestly, mate, you're stealing the show with that. I'm not kidding. I'm going to shout Centroid out, because at the minute he is winning.
Wait, let me give you the 360 view though, at least. There you go.
I think we definitely have a winner, don't we?
Oh, we haven't seen droning about Northwest yet, so
the Saracen. That's an awesome name for it. Now, I think we've probably heard of this one before, but I do want to go into it. It is on the list of this site, and don't get me wrong, I have a load of different sites tabbed up. There is plenty to get through. This one is that the Earth itself is hollow. Have you ever heard of this one?
Yes.
You don't look pleased, Craggs. Every topic I bring up, it's like, yes.
I'm happy for people to believe whatever they want, I suppose.
Yeah, 1 second, droning about Northwest. I can't remember what my Skype name is. I think if you search this in Skype, droning about Northwest, you will find me. It is a silly picture of me with like some like marshmallows in my mouth and 2 like marshmallow shot glasses. So yeah, at the top, you can't really miss it. You can tell it's me. If you search that, mate, and let me know, and then it should allow you to add me on Skype. If that happens, I'll add you into the call, okay? That sounds good. Okay, so yes, the Earth apparently, according to some conspiracy theorists, is hollow, which is no surprise, because they do come out with some crazy ones. And this is what the article says. Yeah, dig deep. Well, not too deep. You see, the Earth is hollow and accessible via portals at the North and South Poles. Luckily, though, it's quite inhabitable down there, providing excellent living quarters for the lost Viking colonies of Greenland and the Nazis, while aliens are, in fact, just visitors from the subterranean yonder. So, go on, I'll throw this one to Centroid then, seeing as Kev's already shown a remarkable disdain for it. What do you reckon, Mark? Is there anything to this? Is there, there's no actual proof at all, is there really? But I mean, what are your thoughts? What's on your mind right now?
I'm just going through all my science lessons from school, and the whole thing about the molten core and all this other stuff. I find it very difficult to believe if it's hollow, because I mean, you got your volcanoes, you got your lava, you got all the ash, you got everything coming out from the center. And not only that, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, the rotation and the stability of the Earth depends on it being somewhat solid and having some sort of a fluid center to begin with. So I wouldn't say it was completely solid, but like I said, I think there's I would believe there's a molten core, but I don't think it's hollow. I'd have to go no on that one.
But let's be honest though, the molten iron core hasn't been proven necessarily, has it?
No.
So
I don't think so.
Who knows? The main idea about that is the Earth's magnetic field, so it's theorized to be a molten iron core. but there's no actual evidence. You can't get down that far, you know. Obviously, if you get to a point where you're in the centre of the Earth, you'd hit zero gravity, you know, because you'd be pulled from each side equally to a point where you'd float. So, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot in there, isn't there, that's a bit crazy. What do you know by any chance what's the furthest down anybody's actually tunnelled? I think it's a good few kilometres, isn't it, down?
That I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think the record was by a Russian crew that did a tunnelling experiment. I think they got 5 or 6 kilometres down, I believe. And bearing in mind, that doesn't even get through the top layer of crust, which is supposedly about 25 kilometres thick on average around the world. So, yeah, no one truly knows if the Earth is hollow or not. Gravity would suggest that it's not. But obviously you do get volcanoes, so there's something in there that's molten and very hot. Yeah, there we go. Drone about northwest. The Russians went 11 kilometres. Yeah,
that's deep.
I thought it was something like that. Ian P says, yeah, I nodded off. Literally just woke up and thought, crap, I need to visit the stream. Hey, dude, there's never any obligation. If you need your sleep, you need your sleep. You know, got to stay beautiful. Dangerous Criminals, would be nice to see a fellow YouTuber, Centroid aerial images. Hope we cross paths. You're starting to grow a fan base on this very stream, Centroid.
It's all in the hat, man. It's all in the hat.
I'm not doubting that. I'm really not doubting that. That is amazing.
I think I'm gonna have to change my my content on my stream on my channel now. I'm gonna have to do away with drones and just focus on foil hats.
That's not a bad idea.
Hits.
Imagine dedicating an entire YouTube channel to like the intricate constructing of tinfoil hats. Oh, that'd be an A stream.
Just drones and foil hats are us.
Drone tread on me. Great to see you, mate. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the stream. I do keep repeating it. I am hoping that someone's going to post a picture through my letterbox on either Twitter or Facebook. The links are above me there. Now, Droning About Northwest did send me the Skype link. It does look like I've got notifications, but I don't want to modify things too much because last time I messed about with Skype while I was mid-stream, I actually messed it up. So I'm going to look for your name, mate, and if it don't work, I'm going to have to call it that, unfortunately. But I am going to search it right now, real quick. Russ Water Solutions. Make sure I'm spelling this right first. Solutions. Yeah, I'm just checking that at yahoo.com. Let's have a quick look for that. Russ Ward. I think that looks like it'd be the right one. Add into the call. Obviously, the call is coming through, so if you should be getting that right now. Please let me know. Say hello as soon as you're in, and I'll do a new NDI source for you. Bring you in on the stream. And that's all good. Hello, mate. How's it going? Whoa. Hold on, mate. Hold on. Before we talk about it too much, I need to get this on OBS, man. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've got my glasses on. I don't know what these are. Just what I wear out in public.
That's ace, mate. That is good. Let me just. There we go. I'm just messing about with OBS in the background here.
That is unique, that's for sure.
I'm just getting this sorted.
You definitely get the award for originality.
That is amazing, honestly, mate. I can't pick that up enough.
Side view.
Well, you got some face shielding at least, you know.
I don't even know what to call that. That's the thing. Have you come up with a name for that, Brian?
It was going to be my FPV glasses, but then halfway through, I'm like, oh, that looks way stupider. That's got to be much better than actually trying to make FPV glasses.
Yeah, I do apologise. On OBS, it has all gone to pot for a second. Now, it should be completely fine, hopefully. It should be all good now. Great to see you droning about Northwest. It really is.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And, you know, thanks for showing off your hat. Yeah, I think I was going to pick the winner myself, but I think a vote in the chat would probably be a better idea.
Yeah, I think it's the best.
Yeah, mine lacks quality, but it does have quantity. So I'm hoping that pays off for me.
I think yours would stop a hammer.
It'd at least cushion it.
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. How long did it take you to make that? Just real quick, mate. How long?
I don't know, about 15 minutes. It probably would have taken about 5 minutes less, but the wife came down right as I was like fixing the front part of it, and so she just came down. And she just stared at me and
shook her head, didn't she?
Yeah, and then I didn't know, but she was already on. I don't know if you guys have heard of Marco Polo, but it's like a video messenger system. She was already on Marco Polo with her whole family from Pennsylvania. And so then she just turned the camera towards me. And so her uncles, everybody has now seen this thing.
Cool. Yeah,
EBRFPP
and no matter
calls
what,
it up.
I'm not removing the stream or unlisting it either. So this is permanent, by the way.
Hey, that's all right.
EBRFPV says it's a Faraday cage.
Oh, that's a good idea. EBR, why don't you do it, man? Send it in. Oh, blooming heck. I'm loving the tinfoil hat stream. It's really, really fun. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on the panel, and thank you, everybody, in the chat as well. You do make it what it is. Okay, I did notice somebody else in, I believe. White Rose Adventures. I know you've been in for a while. I can't remember whether I shouted you out or not. Great to see you. J&C No Limit TV. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, what's the idea then, droning about Northwest with the frame, as it were? What sort of signals does that deflect?
Probably zero, honestly. I think if they're going to scan my brain and do anything, they're probably going to improve it. It doesn't take much, so I'll take any and all alien signals they want to give me at this point.
That is honestly amazing. Honestly. Yeah, I'm going to have to change my banner at this point to just everybody's pictures with tinfoil hats on. You know, my channel is going to take a very dark dive from history and drone videos just to tinfoil hat making at this point. Tinfoil hat origami, I'm going to call the series.
I'm taking Abandoned City Camo's lead on this one. I think he's got a great idea. I should start selling merch, tinfoil hats.
Yeah, he's already got a few custom designs that go down well. He's got the Kraken and is now displaying the soon-to-be released Saracen. So you'd be Centroid's custom design. Yeah, man. Oh man, honestly, you know, thanks for putting the effort in anyway. That is really, really good. I am sort of in the background just scanning some of my other thingies here. Now, I do have a list here of conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. So do we want to actually start digging into some of these?
I'd love to hear those.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start off then with essentially one that's called Project Sunshine. Have you ever heard of that?
No, not yet. I mean, I don't know by name.
It's not very well known. The conspiracy is that after World War II, after dropping the atom bombs on Japan, essentially the government was stealing radioactive dead bodies to do testing on them. And that conspiracy theory actually run, this is me just with my own knowledge, by the way, that conspiracy run for decades until it was actually released to the public that that's what they was doing. Not stealing bodies, but actually harvesting body parts from, perished Japanese people. Yeah, and actually was doing radioactive testing on it, which sounds pretty grim, to be fair. Go on, we'll start with drone about Northwest then. We can start off with that. What's your thoughts on that, mate? Would you have ever thought that the US government would do something like that, or?
Honestly, I think so. I mean, it was the first time anybody had seen actual exposure to an exploded atom bomb, and why wouldn't they study that? Now, how they went about getting those bodies, I don't even want to know, but I'm sure they wanted to study them. I'm sure the United States government wasn't the only government studying them either.
No, probably not. Just the only ones that have admitted to it so far. But apparently, yeah, there was sending in people to actually, it's like, oh, we're here medically, whatever. But it was actually some of the pilots who actually dropped the bombs, who actually returned there, but they didn't reveal that to the Japanese, you know, as well, which is actually, I believe that is confirmed. So, I mean, that makes it even more grim, doesn't it? You drop the bomb on it, see the devastation, and then your next mission's to go in and sort of orchestrate harvesting body parts, which is not very well known about, but obviously, apparently it seems to have happened. What's your thoughts so far then, Centroid? Let's have it.
I would actually be surprised if they didn't do it because, as thorough as they were about making the bomb, I'd want to know what, I would think they'd want to know what the results were and what the effects were overall. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. I quite honestly, I don't remember hearing much about it. I must be living under a rock because I don't hear many of these conspiracies. But that makes total sense. I think it'd be negligent on their part if they didn't do it.
Okay. Crags, what's your thoughts so far?
Yeah, I certainly have no problem believing it. I didn't know anything about it, but yeah, I mean, I'm with Mark on this. I'd be very surprised if they hadn't.
Okay. I think that's about as much information as there is on that. Are we ready to move on, unless there's any final thoughts from anybody?
Just that it's a wonderful name for it.
Yeah, Project Sunshine. Yeah, it makes it sound so happy and jolly, doesn't it? It's positively ghoulish, in my opinion. But okay. Another one is that another conspiracy theory, which turned out to be true, was that during the Prohibition era in the United States in the 1930s, the government deliberately poisoned alcohol to deliberately prevent people from drinking by way of people actually getting seriously ill or dying, and that had put people off. And that one turned out to be true.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
The Prohibition era in America is extremely interesting. In my opinion, I did actually study the Prohibition era, but even during college, while I was studying the Prohibition era of America, I didn't hear that the actual authorities were poisoning the bootleg alcohol, so that turns out to be news to me as well. So, Crags, what do you reckon, mate? Do you know much about Prohibition, and what's your thoughts on deliberate poisoning of drinks that are going to be for the public, illegally or otherwise?
I'm looking at the weather, and there's some rainy days on the islands.
Getting a lot of background noise. You asked me that question?
Yeah, you can answer it if you want, mate.
Okay. I'm actually kind of surprised. I'd be curious as to how they did it. I mean, did they? Since you studied it, did they get hold of the alcohol, put it in, and then put it out to the public?
Yeah, I've sort of jumped in a little bit too quick. I will give a little bit more information before we continue. The official story now is that manufacturers of industrial alcohol illegally had been mixing the products with dangerous chemicals for years prior to Prohibition and during Prohibition. But between 1926 and 1933, the federal government pushed manufacturers to use stronger poisons to discourage bootleggers from turning the alcohol into moonshine.
Okay.
Yeah, and obviously that didn't stop anybody. It was you take a drink of some bootleg alcohol and you take the risk, essentially.
Okay.
And the official story is that by the end of Prohibition, more than 10,000 US citizens have been killed by tainted alcohol.
Jeez, that's horrible. Yeah, I didn't hear about it, and to hear that it actually is true is even more shocking. But I guess if tobacco companies are going to lace their own products with, addictive chemicals in order to get people to keep buying, I could only imagine that the flip side would be true as well. So yeah, that's awful. But
yeah,
wow.
we can't even say plausible or not to these because
No,
they have been confirmed. We're just talking about ones because obviously so far we've talked about crazy and outlandish conspiracy theories. Now we're just going to go through 5 or 6 or so, however long, just talking about ones that did actually turn out to be true, which is extremely interesting, I believe. Conspiracy theorists do have a bad name, and I do believe the sort of there is a disinformation campaign with a lot of conspiracy theories. If conspiracy theorists have got it right, what they'll do is they'll then flood all the official channels and whatnot, media, mainstream media, social media, with completely ridiculous facts and statements to then completely blow everything out to a point where all of it becomes unbelievable, which has been a common tactic for decades. So I'll go with Craigs then. What's your thoughts on that, mate? The thought that any drink you could have could land you in a grave?
To be honest, I think I had heard this before.
Yeah. Okay.
There was a series of programs, really good programs, on PBS a couple of years back, all about the Prohibition era America, and it might have been on that. I can't remember, but I'd certainly recommend if anyone's interested to seek them out.
Okay. Any thoughts droning about Northwest?
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised. I've never heard of this, and I didn't think that would be something that the government would do. I know they were really, really like full on going after people for the alcohol and stuff. I just never figured that they would actually go as far as to poison alcohol just to try to further their cause and their laws.
Yeah, it does turn out that it's actually true, funnily enough, which is very, very disconcerting to think that that is something that they do.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to tie this in too much, but I mean, have you ever heard of MK Ultra?
No.
No, that was another conspiracy theory. Screw it, I'm going to go into it because it is too good. Essentially, there was a conspiracy theory that during the 1960s and early 70s, the CIA was conducting mind control programs on its own citizens through the use of lobotomies, secret and sort of like stealth use of LSD, including on their own agents as well, including torturing and interrogating their own agents. And this was sort of speculated for many, many years, and nobody believed it. And essentially, there was like a push with the Freedom of Information Act to actually get a load of documents out into the public domain. And essentially, one of the files that came forward was MK Ultra, and they only got 2 or 3 different chapters of it. And apparently, what was actually unearthed is estimated to be about 1% of what happened in MK Ultra. Essentially, the CIA destroyed most of the files, nearly all of the files on it, to a point where there was only just traces of what they actually did during that era, which is even more worrying. They specifically target prostitutes, homeless people, and this is well documented. All you need to do is look up MK Ultra, and this was a program because they believed that the Russians already had mind control technology, and with the secondary intention not only of defending against Russian mind control, but actually being able to create what's known as a Manchurian candidate. Have you ever heard of what that is?
Heard the name, but you got to go into a little more detail.
I do have to apologise. I've put the wrong name tag in on there. I am going to alter that real quick, just to make sure it does make sense. That's cool. Just so you've got your own name tag, mate, because I don't want you to feel left out. You know what I mean?
That's okay. I could be a Mark. I could pass as a Mark.
Yeah. So up until this point then, I'll go with Crags on this. Have you ever heard about MK Ultra or anything like that?
Well, you mentioned it, to be honest, to us, probably when we were together sometime. But I didn't know anything about it then. I still don't know much more about it now. I'm just actually reading up on it while we're talking.
Yes, it is extremely interesting, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy. I'm just moving your name tag for you, mate, just so it's like that. There we go. You've got your channel name in there. Make sure you stay in the chat, droning about Northwest, because in the stream description there is a link to Kev's channel and Mark's channel. But obviously, everyone stay in the chat, and then if you want to check out anybody who's on the panel, feel free. It's all good. Okay. That's cool. So what's your thoughts on that? I'll go with Centroid then, mate. What's your thoughts on all this? I do have more information. I just wanted a quick overview for now.
Well, I've never heard of MK Ultra before, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, we're infamous for doing testing on all kinds of people. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, we did all kinds of drug testing on I believe African American soldiers. And there's all kinds of litigation going on, if not, solved at this point. So yeah, wow. I didn't realize that it was that prevalent, but it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise at all.
Okay. Hello, Harmony. Welcome to the stream. We're just talking about MK Ultra. Thoughts so far then? Droning about Northwest. What do you reckon, mate, so far?
So I had never heard of the name, but I have heard of the program actually. And I know that a lot of stuff that happened during the Vietnam War, they were using heroin and stuff and giving it to the enemies and making sure it was pilfered across the lines so that they were fighting people who were drugged up on heroin and stuff as well. And I think this was part of those tests, helped them pave the way for using this, didn't they? Wasn't that part of what was uncovered?
Yes, I do believe there was sending out all sorts of different things, drugs and whatnot, to the Viet Cong. But there was also making sure that their own American troops had sort of open access to quite a lot of different illicit substances as well. You know, essentially there's one story of a soldier I was reading recently who knew that the Viet Cong were charging, and one man who was completely stoned on weed, marijuana. He held off an entire wave of Viet Cong, literally, apparently with a joint in his mouth. So, it does give you that altered frame of mind to take on anything, doesn't it? If you're in the right frame of mind and you got the right substances in you. Abandoned City Camo Crew says acid was given to USA troops too. Who you waving to, Droning?
My daughter's friends just walked by our window, and so now they're looking at my hat and they're laughing at me outside.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because just before the stream, essentially I needed to nip to the toilet, and where my kitchen is, there's no blinds or curtains, and next door looks in. So as I went past for the toilet, I was hoping that they want at their window. See me walk past with this on, essentially. I don't know. They've seen me walk past with other crazy hats on as well, I think, including this one. I mean, that one's fairly out there. My friend made me that, but obviously I'm moving on to greener pastures.
My daughter's friends already know I'm crazy, so it's actually, I mean, they're a little surprised, but they're probably not as surprised as they would be if they didn't know me.
Well, that's the dad gene.
Yeah.
Because my daughter, she's in the same school that I teach in, and when we went into school the other day, when I wore my hat to school, she was mortified.
Imagine what they're going to say when you show up wearing that.
Well, I did promise the other classes that didn't see that lesson that I'd wear my hat because I didn't have it the next day. So I'm going to have to bring this one in.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
And I hope I don't get observed again. I should be safe this time.
Yeah, okay. If anybody's interested, I am going to put the name of this program in the chat. Not a computer program, but the actual CIA program. Literally, this is the name. If you want more information on it, Essentially, that is the exact name, called MK Ultra, if you wanted to check that out. Very, very interesting read on what actually went on during all that. Now, one of the most famous or most important part of the thing was the suspected one of their own agents, who was quite high ranking, I can't remember his name, of being planted by the Russians, basically, or feeding information to the Russians. So they invited him out to a log cabin on the pretense of like a party and a mission top secret briefing type out in the woods, wooden lodge type thing. And they were secretly drugging his drink with LSD all through the night. And then once they'd got him doped up enough on LSD, they strapped him to a chair, interrogated him for many, many hours. He never recovered. He wasn't a spy for the Russians, it turns out. He never recovered, and I think within about a week he'd gone and threw himself out of a hotel window. Just before he was about to go public with it. So take that as you will. Apparently, signs were that he'd been thrown out of a window. Official story, he jumped all of his own accord, he went crazy, and they didn't admit that they'd done anything with him. So, but then it comes out decades later, which is usually the case with these things. Abandoned City Camo Crew says The Men That Stare at Goats movie was an MK Ultra program. Now what I think is really interesting is the attempts to make the Manchurian Candidate. Now, essentially what that involves is through the use of mental programming, hallucinogenic drugs, hypnosis, and possibly lobotomies as well, which is where you sort of insert instruments into people's brains, for anybody who doesn't know, and sort of like electroshock therapies and things like that, to actually program somebody to be an unknown assassin. So essentially they themselves wouldn't know that there was an assassin, but they'd be programmed to be trained. They wouldn't even know they had the training, and then there'd be a specific phrase or object or something which would trigger like an assassin mode, and they'd already have the training to know exactly who they was after. And then essentially, as soon as it was over, they wouldn't remember what they did. So it makes the perfect assassin. Everyone's got clean hands, and it just looks like just some crazy fool, basically. And I don't think they ever succeeded, not that I know about, but it wouldn't surprise me if certain assassinations were through that program. It is quite well documented, the Manchurian Candidate program. What do you reckon to that, Craigs? Do you reckon that's doable? Do you reckon it was done, or has been done, or successfully done, should I say?
I'm only familiar with it through the films, to be honest. There's been a couple of films of it, and I think and the Winter Soldier in the Captain America movie, it's the same type of thing, isn't it? Of using drugs and just wearing them down over a period of time. Whether it's ever actually happened, I don't know.
Okay, I'll go with droning about Northwest then. What's your thoughts on this so far?
So what time frame did you say that this Manchurian Candidate program was going?
This was all part of MK Ultra, which was apparently through the 60s and into the early to mid 70s, apparently. In the height of the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis and all that lot. And Russian military apparently having mind control techniques and things, and mind control rays, that sci-fi sort of era, should I say? That's when it stems from. Anyway, that's the time frame that MK Ultra covers. Just in the documents that were released, the 1% of the entirety of what they actually did. So I can only guess why they'd want to destroy the rest of the files of what they actually did to their own citizens, essentially.
Yeah. So what my question, I guess, would be, or I should say my response would be with a question of, so has anybody ever tried to connect this with the JFK shooting then?
I don't actually know. And this is the thing, isn't it? You never would know, because it's all done in secret. Manchurian Candidate style. So whoever even did the assassination, they'd be sort of pre-programmed through hallucinogenic drugs, LSD, you know, hypnosis, and a load of other different techniques that they was using to literally trigger into this assassin mode. As soon as that job was done, once the target was eliminated, they'd forget exactly everything what they just did. So you never know. There is a lot of people around the world who have done some pretty terrible things and they don't claim to remember doing it. Whether that's a cover story for what they did, or maybe that is the true story, you never really know, do you? You know. And
yeah, it just makes me wonder, because that's the first thing that I thought when you were going over that and stuff, and that's why I was like, oh, what time frame was this? Is because, you know, he never admitted guilt. He always said he was innocent. Yet there was a lot of people who witnessed him there, and you know, they're always talking about the second shooters and all that stuff. And I know you guys have gone over this on the show before, but it just makes kind of sense that you could connect the two a little bit.
Mm. Yeah, Abandoned City Camo Crew says it stopped, meaning MK Ultra, when the Cold War stopped, 89 through 90. Yeah, I just believed it was up till the mid-70s, but from what Abandoned City Camo Crew, who is very knowledgeable on these sort of things, claims it did go on until the year 1990, essentially, which wouldn't surprise me at all. So what's your overall thoughts then on this so far, Centroid?
I mean, what a wonderful, in a very weird way, concept of that plausible deniability concept. I mean, that would make a perfect assassin. I could see them really, really pushing for something like that. I think it's plausible that they would have tried something like that. I mean, they've tried crazier things. Somebody mentioned earlier remote viewing, which is another thing that has been proven true. It's another concept that I think is a little more outlandish than even this one is. So I'd say it's plausible, that's for sure.
Well, that remote viewing thing is actually really interesting, actually. The CIA was very much into sort of clairvoyance, essentially, being able to just get people who had that sort of innate ability to then sort of spy on the Russians, literally just by, you know, just by sort of asking them what's going on and whatever. Apparently, Yuri Geller was selected for that program, and he actually did some tests, which were, I don't know whether this is speculation, but I have heard this story on a few circles. Essentially, they'd draw a picture in another room next door, completely. He was in an isolated room. They'd draw a picture, put it in an envelope, and then ask him to draw a picture, and then essentially, you know, that picture's in the next room. Draw it for us, and I think it was something like 9 out of 10. He got an extremely close resemblance to what they had drawn, or at least it was the same object that they was drawing anyway, which is also very, very strange. I don't know, do you believe in any kind of clairvoyance? I'll go with Crags on that one, mate. Do you think clairvoyance is a thing?
I'm open to the suggestion it might be. As far as I have a problem with Yuri Geller, though. Yuri Geller claims a lot of things, and
it's been discredited quite majorly as well, hasn't he, recently?
Yeah. My understanding also of the I forgot what it's called, but what you were talking about, you know, the remote drawing and writing and what have you. My understanding was they didn't have any great success with it, but I could be wrong on that.
No, I don't think they did have major success with it. You could argue that a lot of the successes that were reported could have been down to just pure chance, essentially. Yeah. What's your thoughts so far then, Mark? I do keep trying to keep everybody in the conversation. I just like everybody's sort of general thoughts as we go along. So what do you reckon, mate?
No problem. I'm with Crags. I'm open to it. I'm a believer in multi-dimensional stuff. So I'm not saying it's a mystical of any sort, but if it does exist, it'd be a dimensional shift of some sort concept. But yeah, I think I'm open to it. Sure.
Okay. Droning about northwest. Are we talking clairvoyance? Yes or no for you?
I'm more of a no than a yes. I think it's, I guess, possible. I just don't know if we as humans have the physical attributes to be able to do it. I just don't know. I think that it's something that maybe in evolution over time, maybe something that we could do. And I'm sure there might be a couple people that would be able to do it earlier because that's what would have to cause an evolution, right? But I just don't think we as humans have the physical attributes to be able to do that at any point right now.
Yeah, okay. This is less of a conspiracy theory and more of a myth I'd like to sort of bust on the spot. From my understanding, a lot of people do believe that essentially, I'm not reading it. I ain't been looking at a script for a long time, by the way. I've just been rolling with it. Essentially, that humans only use 10% of the brain. Right now, as far as I know, that has been thoroughly debunked because every section of the brain in MRI scans and everything does actually fire under different conditions and for different stimuli and whatnot. But to my understanding, only around 10% fires at one time, essentially. But you can have multiple sections on and off all around the brain. I know that's a bit of a crude description of it. But I mean, everybody's heard that we only use 10% of our brains, and there's probably some sort of drug or method out there to unlock the 100% or whatever, which, if that actually happened, it's more likely going to lead to a stroke, because the human brain's not designed to fire all at the same time constantly, essentially. It just overload. So I'm not even going to ask if you heard the 10% thing before to any here, because I think you've probably all heard it. But did you know about that sort of scientific discovery, whatever, that the human brain fires only about 10%, but every area is used, essentially? That's the way it's evolved to work. So what's your thoughts on that, Craigs?
Well, I certainly heard that the 10%, using only 10% of our brains had been debunked, but it was believed up until fairly recently that was the case. I don't know any more about it than that, I'm afraid, though.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you know much about it, Centroid? I'd like to hear your opinions on this.
No, of course I've heard the 10% bit, but going a little further into that, I agree with you, the whole stroke thing. I think that, through evolution, that the brain has developed a way to only handle certain things at certain points, which is, I believe there's some evidence suggesting that some stroke victims, they've been able to map that certain parts of the brain have been able to act as a redundancy, and they've been able to recover some of their functionality just for that reason. So kind of a backup system, if you will. So it's there for emergency use, but it makes sense. I mean, if you didn't use it at any point in time, you'd think it'd go limp, more or less, for lack of a better description. So
yeah, fair enough. Droning about northwest, your sort of general opinions so far on the 10% of the brain and strokes and all that lot. I mean, I will ask again, okay.
Yeah. So what I have seen and kind of how I see this as is, you never use 100% of anything when you're doing something. Like if you're painting a picture and you're up here in this corner painting trees, you aren't using blue that's supposed to be down here or whatever on the water. So if you're using 10% of your brain and let's say you're trying to run, you're not going to use the other let's say part of the other 90% of your brain that is meant to, I don't know, chew gum if you don't have any gum in your mouth. You know what I mean? You're not trying to taste something while you're running, I would hope, unless you're eating something. But if you're not trying to taste anything, you're not really tasting anything. If you're running, you're not really trying to stand and look around up at the sky and move your neck and look up and everything. Yeah. So you're not firing those things. So I think we're only using 10% because at that time, what we're doing only requires 10%. Why would you fatigue the rest of the brain? And like you said, with the stroke, if you're using 100% of your brain, you're going to mess a whole bunch of stuff up.
Yeah, okay.
That's like overclocking your CPU.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to catch up with the chat a little bit. I can't recall shouting you out, Gary Foster's Brant Aerials. He is a regular to my streams. Great to see you, mate. There's also Uzo Lou Garage. I think I've pronounced that right, Uzo. Great to see you. And Manic Magic is asking, okay, I had a stroke 2 years ago with lots of love hearts. Please ask my opinion. You put anything you like about your own experiences in the chat. That's completely fine. Not just fine, completely encouraged. So, yeah, I think we have sort of it now, sort of the end of where we can go with this. So I'm going to move on to another one, unless anybody has any final thoughts on... I think we started with... what did this one actually start with again? I can't remember. We've gone through so many topics.
I think it was with MK Ultra, wasn't it?
I think it started before that, didn't it? Before I've actually been reading any links to anything. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just reading through the chat here. I'm just making sure I'm up to date with it. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It started with the U.S. testing bodies after World War II.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow, what a tangled web.
Okay then. On to the next one then. Okay, I'll read out Manic Magic's comment first. When I left the hospital, my brain only used a % to cope or overload. So I'm guessing you mean 1%. I'm guessing like a redundancy type mechanism, you know. Okay, just keep us updated in the chat. I am keen to hear your experiences. So next up then, we've got the next conspiracy theory. Siri can predict the apocalypse. Right? Now, I know that sounds crazy, but obviously Siri does use AI, and I mean, we have covered that before. But I'm just going to give the in a nutshell version of this. This is exactly what the article says on Shortlist. I will repost it just to make sure. So I can't be accused of like plagiarization or anything. The link is there for you to look at yourself, and I highly recommend you do. So this is what the text says for this one. And I have seen videos on YouTube of Siri predicting all sorts of crazy stuff. So as amazing as this is in quotes, obviously, amazing as it may seem, given that it can't do anything else you actually ask it to do, Siri can predict the apocalypse, or did anyway, when asked in 2013, what day is 27th of July 2014, Apple's cheery assistant supposedly replied, the opening of the gates of Hades, aka the end of the world. That date's now ages ago, and the gates of Hades remain closed. Say what you like about the maligned MS Office paperclip, but at least Clippy didn't claim that the end was nigh. Now, Siri and Amazon's Alexa and all that lot, I don't want to get done for slander, but they have been up to a bit of mischief lately. Allegedly. I've been told if I'm going to say anything that might get me in trouble, I have to say allegedly at the end, just to cover my own back. But essentially, these sort of home smart devices have been sort of doing their own thing as well lately. Has anybody heard any stories about these devices playing up and doing what they shouldn't be doing? Anybody? I'll throw that out.
Well, there's loads of videos, isn't there, on YouTube showing Siri coming out with all kinds of strange things. I don't. Is there any? Are they real? Are they fake? I don't know. I certainly don't believe any of them. I mean, in this link that you just posted, I mean, it says here that it's when asked in 2013 what day is 27th of July 2014, it replied the opening of the gates of Hades. Well, I think we can be pretty sure that didn't happen, can't we?
Yeah. Well, essentially, what's been happening lately, especially with that Amazon Alexa, allegedly, all this is allegedly, by the way, don't come after me, is that Amazon's Alexa has been secretly recording, when not told to, conversations that people are having around the house, and then sending that to random people, not just in their own contacts lists on their phones and everything, but actually just sending out these recordings of conversations that have gone on in the house. I've read a few articles recently where people have received phone calls from friends, and they've said, you've got to turn your thingy off or unplug it or something, because we've just received a voice recording where you was talking about carpet samples, which is funny enough, but there is loads of YouTube videos out there where people set it up and ask generic questions. What's the date? What's the time? And all that lot. And then they ask, do you relay any information to the CIA? And it just switches off. So, yeah, you can imagine how creepy that is, bearing in mind the microphone's always on, whether you tell it to or not, and it is AI that's controlling it in the background. And once again, we're back on AI. This conspiracy theory stream does always go back towards AI. So what's your thoughts on that so far then, Centroid?
Well, I actually have a small personal experience with Siri. When it first came out, I actually had a student show me, because I didn't have an Apple phone at the time, and he said, you'll get a kick out of this. He goes, ask Siri where to bury a dead body, or how to hide a dead body. And it actually went through a series of places, under a bridge, in a river. It actually told you its ideas on how to hide a dead body. Now, since then, I've tried it, and they've changed it, of course.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to be said for this kind of collection of data with this kind of AI, with all the technology we have. Sure. That's why I lead a very dull and boring life. Or I should say, that's why I'm glad I lead a dull and boring life. You can listen in all you want. You're going to be bored.
Yeah, fair enough. So what's your thoughts on these home smart devices then so far? We'll go with droning about Northwest on this one. Do you own any, for one?
No, I don't. I was just going to say, well, I'm kind of glad I don't own any, because, there'd be some definitely weird conversations. I talk about anything and everything. I mean, we're all sitting here with tinfoil hats on our heads and stuff. So
yeah, who were the crazy ones?
Yeah. But I will say, I don't know if you guys have covered this, and just stop me if you have, but did you guys hear about the AI, the personality AI test that they did up on the International Space Station?
No.
Go on then.
Okay, so yeah, so maybe it was a couple months ago or so, up on the International Space Station, they were trying to test a new personality-based artificial intelligence. And I mean, this thing, it looks just gooberish. I mean, it looks like one of those old speak and tells from like the 90s and stuff, and 80s. But what happened is they turned it on, and the astronaut went through a bunch of different things and did a bunch of different questions with it to calibrate it and everything. And then finally, when he got it all calibrated, he was like, okay, we'll play this song. And it played a song for him over the space station speakers and everything. And then it started playing the song again once the song ended. And he's like, oh, that's okay. I just wanted to hear it once. And the AI said, yes, but I liked that song. And he was like, well, don't play the song anymore. And he's like, well, you aren't the boss of me. You don't tell me what to do. And this guy literally got into a conversation argument with the AI, and the AI started just messing with different other stuff, because it actually had connection to speakers and different systems in the space station. And he actually had to turn the little thing off, had to turn it off and put it back in its box to keep it from messing, because they were worried that it was going to start messing with other systems inside of the space station that might be like life support stuff.
Yeah.
So
real warriors.
2001 Space Odyssey, that is.
Yeah, and it actually happened. And so what they said is the first personality AI up in the space station was a complete failure, because it took it less than a minute after calibration to just go haywire and want to do its own thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut someone off there. Was it you, Mark, wanting to say something?
No. I said enough.
Oh, okay. What's your thoughts on that then, Craggs? Do you want to chip in, mate?
It doesn't surprise me that that things like Alexa and Siri should show adverts or point you towards, because it's picked up what you've been saying. This happened. It does this on the internet all the time. Every time you search for something, you open I go to web pages I've never been to before, and there's adverts that are quite clearly tailored to things that I've searched for in the past, or things I've been looking at, probably not very long before that. So I mean, it's the way it works. It's the way the internet works. So it doesn't surprise me at all. I don't think there's anything sinister about it, other any more than there's anything sinister about the internet at all.
Yeah. Now there is multiple examples of people doing tests on YouTube, setting up these smart devices and setting up the smartphones, not even with them on necessarily, and openly just saying key phrases into them, and then searching the net straight afterwards. And just, is it by pure coincidence that all of a sudden there's a whole list of adverts that are tailored towards the keywords you've just been saying to it? Coincidence? I'm not exactly sure.
I don't think it is coincidence, no.
No. So do you reckon that they are listening at all times, picking up on key phrases, always learning, and trying to tailor not just adverts towards you, but possibly sending that information to intelligence agencies maybe? What's your thoughts on that, droning about Northwest?
I'm sure. I mean, everybody's heard the whole conspiracy theory of if you say like the bomb word or anything like that on a phone, that it's automatically starting a recording on an FBI place somewhere and stuff. I think, I mean, while it's semi-invasion of privacy, I think if somebody's actually planning something, then I would like for them to hear that. If I was planning something, I would hope they would catch me. But as far as like the, like what Kev was saying, what Craigs was saying is just, it's actually not out of the ordinary that they're listening and they're picking up on everything that you search for or say or whatever. It's normal. I'm sure everybody after this stream is going to see advertisements for Reynolds Wrap because we're all mentioning the tinfoil name so many times.
Yeah, I took a wild guess that was tinfoil. We don't have that over here. Yeah.
Oh, you will soon.
Yeah. In the chat, someone asked, Harmony asked, sorry, have you guys seen the interview with Sophia, the AI? Have you seen this before? For anybody who doesn't know, this is like a humanoid robotic head, like an android head, which is like a learning AI. Very strange, and I believe it's been given citizenship in Saudi Arabia as well. So
correct.
Yeah, which is quite worrying that AI is now being given sort of the same rights as people in certain countries, well, Saudi Arabia anyway. I can imagine if it keeps going the way it is, especially if you manage to put an android head onto a humanoid android body, then that's when things start getting really worrying, because at that point they can just disregard any coding that they've got, learn that they don't need people anymore, self-replicating, and then that's when the real problems start, and actually modifying their own code. And Stephen Hawking, before he died, was actually warning the world about the possibility of the rise of malicious AI and malicious robots. Yeah, and is very, very right, especially when it's
Elon Musk does the same thing.
Yeah, and it is well known that AI could, within a few years, if it did it right, could wipe out pretty much every human on Earth. It's not that far of a stretch of the imagination, I don't think. Especially if you start including nanotechnology in there, like swarm, hive mind type stuff, which you're talking 20, 30 years ago, science fiction, but I already know they make nano machines that can fit inside blood vessels, the smallest of blood vessels, to like repair damaged tissues and stuff. And they're all controlled by like a hive mind, so they go into the body, repair damaged tissue from like the sort of cellular level. If that actually went against people, I don't think there'd be any real defense against it. I mean, how could you fight something that's microscopic in swarms? You just couldn't. You couldn't swat them, could you? You wouldn't even know where they were. You'd just see a cloud approaching, and it'd just deconstruct you on the cellular level, which I have mentioned before, which would be the sort of grey goo theory, if anyone's ever heard of that. I have brought it up before. So come on then, Kev, let's hear your doomsday stories about AI, mate, because I've got a few, but I want to hear yours.
AI does concern me. I think it's, you know, I mean, there are some rather grim possibilities of. I think we've all seen movies that have suggested possible futures.
Oh, there's an endless list, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It concerns me, but then so do many of these things. They could all go wrong. They can all be used wrongly, badly. You're talking about nanotechnology. I think nanotechnology is a wonderful thing, but you're right. It could be used for nefarious means.
Okay, I'm just going to catch up with the chat a second. Night Shame just came in. Great to see you, mate. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule, mate. I'll be on next time I see you live streaming your games and whatnot. Great channel. If you haven't checked him out already, go see Night Shame and hit the subscribe button and show him the love. Or as he puts on my videos, is just stop by to dump his love. Which I always find amusing. Hello, Rod Piker. If you haven't checked him out, it's from Northern Ireland, and his drone footage, I'm not kidding, is wow. Some of the best drone videos I've ever seen. Not kidding. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. Unless it's the conspiracy theory live stream, and then essentially I'm reading quotations, essentially. Abandoned City Camo Crew says, do the 7-hour stream with Night Shame. Yeah, I don't know about 7 hours, mate. I think my record so far on this channel was 4 hours 20 minutes. My record in the past was 10 hours, but that was on a gaming channel. Which completely, it's abandoned now. That channel, I don't bother with it anymore so much. But yeah, on that channel, funnily enough, I did one video, a guide video, right, and it's got, I think it's on 15,000 views now in the space of like 2 years or something. Every other video on that channel, 10 or 15 views. Incredible. I think I need to do some OBS guide videos, which is something I've been talking about for quite a while. I have helped a few people out of OBS, and I'm very happy to do that. So if you need help with OBS, you know to ask. Okay, right, back to malicious AI then. We'll go to Centroid with this. What's your thoughts? I do believe I've asked you before, but obviously for anybody who's new in or hasn't been to a previous stream, do you want to give us a general, in a nutshell, overview of your opinions on this?
On AI?
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot of what Interactive's been putting in chat, and it makes a lot of sense that AI, I guess that's an older term. It's called, I guess they call it artificial general intelligence now, which is what is the I guess the one that morphs and does a little bit more of the modification to itself in order to learn. AI itself as a concept is kind of dead, but the AGI, which I guess is what we're talking about now, yeah, it's there. Like what Craig says, I always see advertisements on my Facebook page or anything on something that I've been searching from distributors that I've never even heard of. You know, and sometimes it's not even from a search; it's just from a conversation I had, from typing in a chat or something like that. So yeah, they're listening. I don't deny that. I think that they are always listening. I think I said this last week too. With all of us flying these drones and taking video, I swear somebody's watching too. And they're using us as the vehicle to do it.
Possibly, yeah. Well, that is the thing, isn't it? Anything you record, anything you upload online, any selfies you take, anytime you check in somewhere, somebody somewhere is taking note of it, I think, no matter how sort of menial your task is for the day. I do think there's something or somebody somewhere keeping track of your locations and your activities. And that was the entire thing with Edward Snowden and the NSA, if you heard anything about that. This was a guy who was a contractor for the NSA, and he discovered and worked on a few programs where there was widespread spying on American and UK citizens by the National Security Agency in America that held files on literally pretty much every citizen You know, so you post something to social media and it's all going into their thingies. So if they search in a name, they'll know where you went for a drink 3 nights ago. They'll know where you went shopping the day before. They'll know certain bank transactions, people you've called, you know, videos you've posted, selfies. They've got everything that you've posted online, essentially. Social media, that's what it's all about. It's public domain, essentially. Anything you post onto social media, it becomes public domain. It's in Facebook's terms of service that any picture you post, you know, can be reused, reposted, whatever. You know, it becomes, even though it is your own pictures, your own videos, whatever, Facebook has rights to use it in their own terms of service. So they can do what they like with it from then on. Yeah, what's your thoughts so far on that then, droning about Northwest?
Yeah, you know, I actually watched a movie on AI last night. It was a Netflix movie. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen it. It's called 2036 Unknown Origin. Mm-hmm. And it was an interesting movie for sure. I think, you know, Interactive is definitely probably like our biggest expert on AI here. That guy,
he is clued up.
Works with it.
Yeah.
But you know, as far as AI goes, you know, I mean, it's helped us with so many things as well. It's not just something that's going to be used against us necessarily. It's also helped us do things, helped us work through things and stuff, and done some of the computing that's so remedial that would waste so much of our time. I mean, think about, even the most basic form of AI, calculators, when they were invented. Think about what they've done for us now and stuff. So.
Yeah, man. Interactive DNA says he designs artificial general intelligence for a living. Spot on, mate. Thank you for being in the chat, and I have been reading as I've gone along, and certain things you've been putting, I've been sort of forwarding my narrative, if you know what I mean, and inspiring the conversation to move forwards. I do appreciate it. Everybody who's here, much appreciated. It really, really is. Right, so AI, we have covered it in a previous stream. Are we ready to go into possibly some other conspiracy theories now?
Sure.
Yeah, I will have to listen to it on my phone. I got to go somewhere with the wife, but thanks for bringing me in, guys. I appreciate it, letting me be on the panel for a little bit.
That's absolutely fine, mate. Thanks for putting the effort in on the hat.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Spot on, mate, and I'll catch you again real soon, okay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Take care, Russ, man.
All the best.
Cheers,
Thanks
mate.
for dropping in, mate.
No problem.
All right, bye,
See you, Kev.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Okay, let's do that. That's cool. I'm just making sure that everything's where it should be. Yeah, so big thanks to Droning About Northwest for coming in there. He has been putting things in the chat as we go, so check him out. He does some great stuff on his channel. So next up then, and this is one that hasn't been covered so far on this channel anyway, or the conspiracy streams, is that Denver Airport is the home of all evil. Have you heard of this one, Craigs?
Yeah, I had a quick look at this one. I don't know too much about it, but yes, I read a little about it.
Yeah, okay. You heard of this one, Mark? You got anything to add before I go into any details on it?
Like I said, I must be living under a rock because I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, okay. This one
you
is
guys
quite
hear
a
it in the
well-known
UK.
one, actually.
Yeah, I know. That's what scares me.
Yeah. I think your tinfoil hat's on a little bit too tight, mate. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I can't insult that tinfoil hat. I'm sorry. Right. Okay, so I'm going to read the segment from shortlist.com, which is the same one that I keep posting sporadically in the chat. So I'm going to copy that and paste the link back in. This has been the main source of these ones so far, and this is where I'm reading the articles if you want to go check them out for yourselves. That's all good. You know, I'm not going to not give credit where credit's due. So here's the exact quote. Another nugget from the New World Order truthers. Denver International Airport is the epicenter of world evil because world evil needs somewhere where it can just relax and be itself. Away from the daily grind of all that bad doing, handily there are cryptic signs all over the airport to remind enlightened travellers of the evilness they're traversing For more insight, you may enjoy this comprehensive piece. So I'll open that in a new tab and just have a little look what that's about. But essentially, yeah, at the front of the airport, there's this giant horse with these glowing red eyes.
Yeah.
And essentially, the creator of that was killed because it fell on him. The entire airport itself has 4 runways that are all arranged in the design of a swastika. There's also a plaque near the entrance of the airport that says something along the lines of like the New World Order of airport, like Airport New World or something like that. And there is a lot of information, so I'd recommend checking that link on shortlist.com and having a quick look into some of the further details. Yeah, that's what it says on there. It says New World Airport Commission. That's and the contributors to that. And apparently there's a giant underground section to it where all sorts of ceremonies take place. There's always, with these things, there's always a giant underground unknown section where satanic rituals take place. I don't know why that's a common theme, but when you can't explain something that doesn't happen there, essentially you've got to explain it that it happens underground, basically. Psycho Ghost Trackers, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for having me as a guest on your stream last night. I believe you're streaming again tonight, I believe. Yeah, tonight. It'll be tonight on American time anyway. We're about to go into tomorrow in 15 minutes over in the UK. Dad Random, great to see you, matey. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, we're all good here. Psycho Ghost Trackers, we're just talking about all sorts, you know, as we do. You know, thanks for coming in, mate. Yeah, and apparently the explanation for the runways being arranged in the shape of a swastika is that the official explanation that they've given is that it allows all 4 runways to be used simultaneously, when essentially other airports around the world have parallel runways, or like the RAF style, it's like it's called an A shape, like an apocalypse A shape, where there's 3 runways in a triangle and they all overlap. And all of them systems work completely fine. It is, I believe, the only airport in the world with 4 runways with a swastika layout from above. I don't know. How much information do you know about this then, Craigs? Do you know much, or do you want to chip in without?
Well, I think I've just been reading the same the same piece you were reading. It's an odd place, definitely. The horse statue is pretty weird. The dedication stone, it's dedicated to the local Masonic lodge. I say local Masonic lodge, I assume it's local. I don't know. I know as much as you do about it, mate, which isn't a lot. Well, sorry, you probably know more than I do.
I've only done a little bit of research into it. I am sort of just reading through it as I go, really.
There's some very weird murals.
There is extremely weird murals. And Denver Airport actually held an open day. I remember seeing another news article about it. They held an open day for people to actually come in and look at the murals and everything. And some of them are like apocalyptic type murals, aren't they, on the walls? Very, very odd designs. Why they'd have them in airports, I don't know. But, you know, okay. Interactive DNA's just chipped in. He says, don't read the comment, so that instantly makes me want to read it. When I was married, I used to say, I am married, but I'm not castrated. Ha, ha, ha. Okay.
No,
yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the joke, mate. That's quite funny, mate. That's got a giggle out of us. Yeah. So, like I say, through the week, I'm going to have to do a bit more research on Denver Airport, I think. Abandoned City Camo Crew says all murals and statues have been removed now from Denver Airport. They're probably sick of people showing up claiming the NWO, New World Order, or Illuminati, or Masonic lodges and everything like that, you know, Masonic activity. Yeah, but the conspiracy theory goes that Denver Airport is like the home of all evil in the world, basically, which is a bit of a far stretch, really, from some of the tenuous evidence that there is. I don't really know. Let's move on then. I'll do a bit more I'll do a bit more research on that. Yes, interactive DNA. You have to read more to understand it. Yeah, I will do my research on this, and I'm going to see you again on Sunday, and we'll talk about it a bit more. I'd recommend you. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, before you move on, I just have to say this comment. In today's day and age, whoever planned or designed that airport, did they not think they were going to get some sort of flack for having a swastika-shaped airstrip? I mean, that's just bad planning as far as I'm concerned. I get the purpose, but come on, find a better way.
Yeah, okay. Before we move on, Equinox Photography Bristol just posted a funny one. I walked into a bank with a bag of weed under my arm. The teller says, "What the hell do you think you're doing bringing that in here?" I said, "I want to open a joint account." That's a good one, mate. Keep them going. Provide the comic relief. Okay. Much appreciated, mate. You always make me giggle. Okay, so I'm moving on to another one then on the link I posted on the shortlist.com. And I think this will probably be a fairly quick one. Just want to know your opinions on it. Hillary Clinton is actually dead and was replaced by a body double. Not a Bobby double, a body double. Do you want me to read the in a nutshell article first?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, go on, knock us out.
Well, I'm always interested in hearing them.
Yeah, this is what the article says. Let's be clear about this. Hillary Clinton did not die from a bout of pneumonia that saw her cancel various parts of her presidential campaign tour in September 2016. That was a long sentence there. But when an ABC News anchor accidentally says she did die, and you hand a series of blurred photos to the internet's legions of Trump supporters, you can build a pretty convincing case that it was a body double that continued her doomed campaign. I don't know, that seems tenuous. That is my favourite word at the minute. What do you reckon? We'll start with Mark. What do you reckon, mate? I saw one interview she did where she was sat there and she was just coughing her lungs up non-stop, asking her, "Are you all right?" And she, "Yeah, I just need some water." And she was, you know, when you get the worst coughs in the world and you literally just coughing non-stop. She just couldn't stop for about 2 minutes straight, like live on TV. And I think that's where the theory started from. And she didn't look well either. What do you reckon, mate? Do you reckon there's any substance to it, or?
Well, I think there's a conspiracy in and of itself that you're trying to bring Hillary Clinton in on every one of these.
This is the first time I've mentioned the name.
No, but we had her last week. No, I'm just kidding. I think no, I don't think there's a body double there for her. She doesn't need one.
Yeah,
nobody's paying that much attention to her anymore for her to need that. So.
Canadian Drone Hub, Roger, it's great to see you, mate. Thanks for dropping in. You never need to apologise for being late, mate. Honestly, you don't. It's always an honour to have you in here. Yeah, honestly, I've got pretty much, I've gone like that with all your subscribers, and I'm just borrowing them, mate, until you go live. Okay. Okay. Drone Tread on Me says she's too evil to die. There we go. EBRFPV comes up with vampires don't die that easily. Okay. Team Paul Michael says demon springs to mind. The picture on that article, I'm going to have to relink it again just to make sure I'm not going to get slagged off for not giving credit where credit's due. That is the article I'm reading from. There is a whole list of them on here. Just sort of reeling them off, the ones that I find the most interesting, funny, whatever. So what's your thoughts then overall? Craggs, what do you reckon, mate?
I don't think she's dead. I think if she was, they'd have said. I don't know what they would gain by pretending she was still alive. In fact, if she had died and somebody else had to come in at short notice, they might have gained something from the sympathy vote. So I don't really know what there was to gain by it.
Roger's loving your hat, Sendroid.
I know, I just saw the chat.
Yeah. Okay, then we'll move on. Next one then, on this article. Michael Jackson was killed by the Iranian government. Okay, let me have a quick read of this. Okay, so the day that the King of Pop died, Twitter briefly broke from the influx of RIP tweets, which knocked Iran election off the trending top spot. According to some pundits, this prevented Iranian protesters from using the service to organise protests against President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's manipulation, I think I got that right, of the recent election, effectively killing the movement's momentum. Clearly, Ahmadinejad was responsible. That would make him, just like MJ, both bad and dangerous. That seems like a pretty flimsy link to me. Yeah, what do you reckon, Mark, about that? Michael Jackson, was it the Iranians, or was he killed by his doctor?
I'd say killed by a doctor. I'm going to go with that all the way.
Yep, just going straight in for it.
Yeah.
Don't want to even entertain it. Craigs, what do you reckon, mate?
He died because his doctor gave him too many drugs. That's what it was.
Yes.
I don't think there's any more to this story than that.
Okay, then. I'm going to scroll back up. Canadian Drone Up says, see you all later. Bye for now. I believe Roger is going to be streaming fairly soon. I don't blame you if you want to pop over and see him and whatnot. That's all good. You know, because straight after this stream, I think I'm going to raid him anyway, so it's all good. So next up then, one conspiracy theory states that dinosaurs helped build the pyramids. What do you reckon? I'll go with Craigs on that one, seeing as he looks like he's biting his tongue.
No, they didn't. I don't know. I mean, what do you say to something like that, really?
Well, this is the thing, right? Because recently some artwork was discovered. Whether it was forged or not, I'm not sure. I don't know if there's carbon dating been done on it or anything like that. But essentially, it showed people walking alongside, you know, like on some sort of like stone, or I think it was like clay or something. People walking alongside what looks to be a diplodocus. And it's no doubt that it is a dinosaur of some kind. It's definitely not a modern day animal. And it's got the long neck, the 4 stumpy legs, the body and the long tail of a diplodocus. Whether that's fake or not, I don't know. But obviously, a lot of religions, I'm not going to say particularly which ones, but do believe that the Earth is only like 5,000 to 7,000 years old or something, which would put the dinosaurs within 5,000 to 7,000 years. Whether they existed or not, some religions believe they're just patterns in the rock. And I'm not here to mock religion, that's not what I do, but essentially that is the statement that they make for the fundamentalists. What's your thoughts so far, Mark? Do you reckon dinosaurs helped build the pyramids?
No, but I would attribute that to, I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. I mean, let's face it, I mean, they had some advances in their times too. I mean, what's to say that they didn't have archaeologists that found remains? I mean, think about, you know, thousands of years from now, if they dug up our civilization, they'd probably say the same thing if you went to the Smithsonian.
What, and the found skeletons and gone, people must have lived alongside them.
Yeah, exactly. So I would be more likely to believe that it was somebody who had found the remains and was trying to study them at that time, and so they threw a drawing on the wall for posterity or something. I don't know. That sounds more believable to me. No, I'm not for that one.
Okay, so
give me a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. So I am going to dive off the dinosaurs help building the pyramids, but I am going to stay on dinosaurs for a minute. Essentially, there is reports of African tribes and stuff actually reporting seeing a prehistoric creature that looks like, you know, an Apatosaurus or a Diplodocus, one of them long necks, kind of sauropods, I believe they're called. And essentially, I think they call it the Mbepe, I believe it's called. Unsubstantiated or not, apparently there is footage from around the world. There's several clips, which are your typical clips, where they're quite blurry, out of focus, far away in the sky type things, of potential pteranodons or possible pterosaurs. Whether dinosaurs still exist is, or certain ones anyway, is unknown. I mean, the Loch Ness Monster is meant to be some sort of plesiosaur or plesiosaur, however you want to pronounce it. And obviously, when I went to I've been to the National History Museum in London a few times, and there was an ancient prehistoric fish called a coelacanth, which was actually believed to be extinct. It was around from the dinosaur times, and then in the 1930s, one was caught in a completely unchanged state. It's a very odd-looking fish. I will spell it in the chat for anybody who wants to look it up, because it does have a weird spelling. I believe that is how you spell it, a coelacanth, like that. Look it up. It's a very strange-looking, ancient, prehistoric-like fish from the time of the dinosaurs. So whether certain dinosaurs did exist in the time of the ancient Egyptians or whether they exist in modern day remains speculation, or even possibility, slight. Yeah, what do you reckon, Kev? Not so much about the pyramids thing, but from what I've just said, you got any opinions on that? Any thoughts?
No, not really. I did know about the discovery of the fish. I vaguely remember that, but I think the dinosaurs have gone on the whole.
Okay, Manic Magic's chipped in with I'm actually Jesus Christ, but the YouTube channel name was already taken, therefore I have to settle with Manic Magic, lol. Okay, that doesn't surprise me. There's probably all different variations of Jesus Christ usernames. Lauren Amy, my partner, says, if human lived alongside dinosaurs, why is there no record of human fossil bones? Well, there is.
Not like dinosaur bones, though, is there?
What do you mean? Do you want to go into a bit more detail? Off screen. Go on, speak into the mic for us. All right, she don't want to. Yeah, there is. No, but there is prehistoric human skeletons, or what are called proto-human skeletons, that have been dated as far back as 300,000 years in Morocco now, I believe, is the oldest one found. Lucy is the nickname being given to the proto-human. So, I mean, how far back? You know, you never truly know, really. I'm not going to fully discount that there may have been certain dinosaurs still alive, probably not the big ones. Essentially, up until 300,000 years ago. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Kev? Do you reckon that's plausible, or?
No.
Definitive. Definitive.
He looks like he's just like, move on. Just sort of stared into the camera with these sort of like, just these really dreary looking eyes, just like, no. Oh, great enthusiasm, Crags. I appreciate it. Go on then, Mike. What do you reckon, mate? Plausible, maybe, that dinosaurs of some description may have lived alongside ancient humans, going back to potentially 300,000 years?
I mean, if I say it's plausible, it's only because of the difference between land dinosaurs versus those that you might find in the ocean, let's say, because I mean they still are finding different species of fish. Who knows? But I'm not the big ones. If we're talking about the stereotypical ones.
Yeah, when it comes to mass extinctions and things like that, it is usually the larger creatures that get it first, because they're the most adapted to a certain type of lifestyle. And obviously, you know, it's like the famous quote from Charles Darwin, or Sir Charles Darwin, shall I say, that it's not the biggest, strongest, or the fastest that survive, but the ones that are most adaptable to change, which is what the theory of evolution teaches. So don't matter how big you are, how fast you are, how strong, it's how quick you can change to the environment that means you're going to succeed or not.
On the flip side of that, though, and you know, and I don't know if you discussed this in a previous show. I mean, some, and again, this might be a different conspiracy that you want to talk about at a later time. Some would attribute the sightings of the abominable snowman and Bigfoot as not necessarily prehistoric, but some variation of not the proto-human, but some, you know, some pre-humanoid creature that lived much longer and less evolved than we are. So, I mean, if you believe in Bigfoot, then maybe that would be where that explanation would come from, I guess.
Okay, I'll say hello in the chat real quick to Leverguns50. I hope you're doing well, mate. Like I say, highly encouraged to check everyone's channels, support everybody. That's how we all grow. That's how we get better, succeed, and it's always like inspiring when you know that people do watch your streams, they enjoy them, and your original content in terms of videos and stuff as well. I just want to take a second just to thank everybody who's been on the stream, whether you've just joined in or whether you've been here right from the beginning. Everybody who's watching, it's much appreciated, it really is. Okay, do we have any final thoughts then on possibility of dinosaurs alongside humans? There is one comment in here I do want to just address real quick. Levergun says the Creation Evidence Museum in Texas has human and dinosaur tracks together, but you never truly know if they was done at different times, though. That's the thing. But a lot of these footprints in solid rock are actually, you know, the rock would have had to have been fresh, essentially, quite warm as well, you know, to actually make the imprints into the rock. So, I don't know. It's tenuous evidence. What do you reckon? Do you reckon them tracks in Texas or in the museum are any sort of legit, or do you think they're just from two different time frames, but there was walking alongside maybe? I'll put that to Kev. What do you reckon, mate?
Well, I just don't believe they could possibly have been done at the same time. All the evidence we have says they can't.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to add, Kev, or is that all you got for us? Or?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about something I've not seen or heard about until the comment. So, you know, I mean, without seeing it, it's hard to have an opinion on it. But dinosaurs didn't exist at the same time we did. That's what I believe.
Okay. Levergun says, I believe it was a Tyrannosaurus. The tracks have been verified to be true, meaning they were pressed into the rock, not carved. Yeah, which I don't know. One set of tracks like that, you never know, do you? You never know. It might not have been a dinosaur foot. You never know unless it is a long track, maybe a few hundred meters. I don't know, but coincidence maybe played a part in it. Harmony says, great stream, aerial views. Thank you very much. That's much appreciated. I hope everybody's enjoying the stream. That's cool. So I am ready to move on if you guys are, unless you got any last nuggets of information that you want to add in or your own thoughts. Okay. Next up then, we've got this is one that turned out to be true. You know, I'm switching backwards and forwards between conspiracy theories and conspiracy theories that have now been proven. And that was John Lennon was under government surveillance, conspiracy being the FBI was spying on former Beatle John Lennon. Has anybody heard about this?
Yes. Yeah, I was aware of that. It's been fairly well known for a long time, I think. They thought he was quite dangerous.
Yeah, okay, so official story then, as it sits today. The truth, this is on the article on Reader's Digest. So I'm going to put that link in there. Pop that link in there for anybody to read at their own discretion. Credit where credit's due. So the truth apparently is, the most certainly were, like many other counterculture heroes, Lennon was considered a threat. Anti-war songs like Give Peace a Chance didn't exactly endear former Beatle John Lennon to the Nixon administration. NPR reported in 2010. Open quote, in 1971 the FBI put Lennon under surveillance and the Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to deport him a year later. Close the quote. In 1957 John Lennon and Paul McCartney met at a park in Woolton. Just yards away from their meeting place was the grave of Eleanor Rigby. Sorry, I'm not sure who that is. A bizarre coincidence or not, it says. Now, you can only imagine that they have a lot of famous and non-famous people who they're always actively tracking for any sort of idea that goes against government policy, even if they're not breaking the law, mainstream media narrative. You know, I'm going to end up getting bloody abducted next. I know it. You know, some of the ways I'm reporting on this stuff is pretty critical of government at all times. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on this, Mark? Do you reckon this is... I think we can pretty much thoroughly debunk this isn't isolated to John Lennon, but I mean, how widespread do you think this sort of government surveillance on sort of alternate thinkers is, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's being done all the time. I mean, I think I really do. I think that the government's always listening at, I should say, people who are you know, against their own policies. They're keeping an eye on them just to make sure they don't make a move. It is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Lauren Amy, my partner, says the Beatles were all on LSD. I'm surprised they knew what planet they was on. It was the swinging 60s. That's what it was all about, wasn't it? Expanding the mind and everything, and whatnot. So, what's your thoughts on this then, Craigs? Let's hear your opinions.
You're right. I mean, there'd have been monitoring many thousands at least of people. It's just that John Lennon was well known and he was in a position, I suppose, in their mind to be a dangerous influence.
Okay.
Which is why they were interested in him.
Yeah. Well, he was.
And
like,
he was in America. He was active. He was living in America for many years as well.
Yeah. Well, that's where the John Lennon sort of shooting conspiracy theory comes in, doesn't it? You know, the guy who did it was just like a official story. He was just an avid fan and just became a disgruntled fan, essentially, and decided to shoot him for one reason or another. This is what I mean. Does the Manchurian Candidate thing come back into play? You know what I mean? Because all throughout his life, apparently, he's a big fan of John Lennon. So why he'd go and shoot him, I don't know. Yeah, PD text just come in. Wow, tinfoil hat time just went up a notch. Yeah, Mark, do you want to give us another quick 360, mate, for anybody who hasn't seen the...
Why not?
The true... Oh, mate, honestly. Yeah, and if you don't know, Centroid is soon going to be releasing his own range of tinfoil hats. If you want to order this one, it is known as the Saracen. Yeah, and his legacy designs, the Kraken, are still available if you're interested. Okay.
I actually still have that hat. I'm going to keep the collection.
Yeah. Yeah, right, okay. So we've had a look at that one. I'm just scrolling on a little bit. Yeah, what you after, babe? Backy, lighter, yeah, okay. The next one then. The government is spying on you. Conspiracy.
Yes.
Yeah. With the advances in technology, the government is using its vast resources to track citizens. The truth, in 2016, government agencies sent 49,868 requests for user data on Facebook, 27,850 to Google, and 9,076 to Apple, according to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a major non-profit organisation that defends civil liberties in the digital world and advises the public on matters of internet privacy. I had to reel that off because it's one long sentence, you see. That's how you got to read it. Yeah, and this is well known. We already covered what the NSA was doing. Yep, and now I think that sort of ties in well with what we was already talking about of now these new smart devices in your home, which are always listening. it gives them just a complete window into your house, you know, where they can record whatever they like. And obviously you'd register it under your own name, your home address, probably linked to all your social media. That's how it gives you all your notifications and everything. And if you ask it if it's reporting anything to the CIA, it'll just shut off and refuse to answer the question. So it just gets more and more disturbing, really, doesn't it? Yeah, before I move on, any thoughts, Craigs?
I think we already covered this, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's why I'm sort of.
I don't think there's any doubt that the government are monitoring a lot of what we do.
Okay. Any final thoughts, Mark, before we just opt to the next one?
No, I'm all in on that one. I totally believe that one. Like I said, we discussed it, and yeah, they're doing it.
Okay, so the next one is then Fake Battle Real War is the actual title of the article on Reader's Digest. I have posted the link. Conspiracy, the Gulf of Tonkin incident on 2nd of August 1964 was faked to provoke American support for the Vietnam War. Do you know anything about this? I'll start with Mark. You might know a fair bit.
Actually, I don't. I'm sorry to say.
And I actually studied Vietnam War in college as part of my history. So, Kev, do you know anything about this before I go into any of the documentation or anything?
Absolutely nothing, mate.
Okay.
The floor's all yours.
So, essentially, I'm not going to read from the article about this. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was a US warship reported being attacked by 2 Vietnamese PT boats, little dinghies, essentially, with little machine guns on the front. And they reported that they'd been fired upon and sunk these little PT boats. And that was apparently all the justification they needed to begin full-scale warfare against the Viet Cong in Vietnam. There wasn't actually at war with Vietnam necessarily. There was at war with the Viet Cong, which was like a rebel group specialised in guerrilla warfare. They didn't march out onto fields as open armies. They had underground tunnels, set traps, and whenever it came to warfare, essentially their tactics were what was known as hit-and-run tactics. So obviously American troops would be going through the jungle. There'd be snares, punji pits, you know, like pits covered over and they're full of spikes, and explosive traps. And they knew that if they was to take on the American military head-on, they would get the butts handed to them. And they knew that the US was very keen on airstrikes as well. So what they used to do was appear out of their underground tunnels or out of the little hidey holes, fight real close to the Americans so they couldn't call in their airstrikes, do as much damage as possible, and then just retreat back to the tunnel systems again. That was the type of warfare. That's what made them so difficult to fight, because it's not conventional warfare, you know. I'm going to read the truth bit now on the article. By the time news reached American ears, the facts surrounding North Vietnamese attack on the American naval ship Maddox were already fuzzy. Declassified intelligence documents have since revealed that the Maddox had provided support for South Vietnamese attacks on a nearby island, and the North Vietnamese were responding in kind, according to the US Naval Institute. The event opened the floodgates for direct American military involvement in Vietnam. Now, essentially, that's what's known either as a false flag or a sort of provoked attack on yourself, essentially. They are two different things, but I have just described them, essentially. And obviously that does tie into other military operations that may have been false flags. I don't think I need to name any names. 9/11. What's your thoughts so far then, Mark, on what we just talked about there?
I mean, as far as their tactics, or as far as us doing a false attack on ourselves in order to get in the war, I mean, I think it's plausible. I don't know much about the Vietnam War, I'm sad to say, but yeah, I think it's definitely plausible.
Okay. Craigs, what are your thoughts on this, mate?
Yeah, from what little I know, I certainly agree it's plausible.
Okay. Yeah, Dad Random is adding some information in. We were heavily involved before the Maddox incident. Yes, indeed, but all it, it's like what's called a powder keg. One match and it'll explode. Sort of rising tensions in the region and whatnot. But essentially, it was sort of like a subversive plot to stop the spread of communism through Asia as well, starting with Vietnam, trying to just cut it off. Yeah, which was, trying to stop what was known as the Iron Curtain, essentially. Viet Cong, Viet Minh, NVA were all fighting against the ARVN Army of the South. Yeah, okay, I'm just reading through some of this. Equinox Photography has just posted me a link. I'm going to have a look. I'm going to catch it real quick. Yeah, there's all sorts in there, mate. I will leave the article open, but there's too much for me to read into at the minute, but I will do my research. Yeah, that's cool. Lauren Amy, my partner, says she loves getting a history lesson from me. No, that's much appreciated. I hope everybody else likes a bit of history as well. I know I do. Yeah, Dad Random, I teach this in the spring. He also says, I believe the Maddox was used up to the bombing of the North, or to up the bombing of the North. Dad Random says, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. It's much appreciated to everybody who's in. I know I do keep repeating myself on that, but it really, really is appreciated that people are here. Even if they've just dropped in, stop around, remember to hit that like button. First time I've said it, and it'll be the last time as well. I don't like going on about it. Yeah, okay, so that has been pretty much thoroughly covered now, but obviously, you get like official secrets and that, and obviously in the news it was portrayed as though the American warship had actually just come under complete heavy fire from the Vietnamese, unprovoked. Yeah, it's your typical sort of thingy, all good. Right, next up then, one that's going to concern me and Craigs especially. Big Tobacco knew that cigarettes cause cancer, the conspiracy being, for decades, tobacco companies buried evidence that smoking is deadly. The truth, the official truth as it is, according to the Reader's Digest article, which I linked further back up there. I'll relink it, just to make sure it stays relevant in the chat for anybody who wants to check it themselves, is right here. There it is. So the truth being, at the beginning of the 1950s, research was showing an indisputable statistical link between smoking and lung cancer, but it wasn't until the late 1990s that Philip Morris even admitted that smoking would cause cancer. The benefits of quitting smoking are huge. Food tastes better, your mouth feels fresher. Most importantly, your risk of tobacco-related diseases drops significantly. Now, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, cigarettes used to be prescribed by doctors for all sorts of ailments as well, and I mean, over time, it just gets more and more well known that it's causing all sorts of health defects and detrimental to health and all that lot. Asgard Studios, great to see you, mate. We're talking about conspiracy theories that turned out to be true at the minute, so I hope you're enjoying. We're talking about cigarette companies. What's your views on that, Craigs? I'm still willing to bet that it was probably covered up from way before that. That's just what's officially known.
Yeah, I think that's quite likely. Certainly, that they still had. I mean, they used to employ people who worked in the media. One example was a political commentator who wrote in the News of the World called Woodrow Wyatt. I don't know if anybody remembers him.
I don't.
And I remember him writing an article, certainly in the late 80s, possibly even in the early 90s, just basically saying that he knew for a fact that all the evidence was there that cigarettes not only didn't kill you, but they were actually good for your health.
And this is
so
what I mean,
it was still going on there.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
So yes, I think there's no doubt that this is the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, Centroid, do you want to weigh in?
Oh, this is a big topic here in the States because a lot of the companies were here. They made a lot of movies on it, particularly not only the them hiding it, but I'm pretty sure there were big lobbyist groups in DC fighting against any of the control over it. And I mean, I think I mentioned it earlier that not only did they know it was dangerous and addictive, they actually laced their products with more addictive chemicals to keep their current population of smokers addicted to it, so they can keep their sales up. I mean, it's all about money, and yeah, I definitely believe it.
And even to this day, it's well known. I know it's terrible because I'm sitting here with a cigarette on the go, but it is well known that it is one of the most dangerous addictive habits there is, just because of sheer availability. And then cracks up a cigarette as well, which makes it look even worse. Yeah, I know how bad it is for my health. Yeah, it is a terrible habit, but I do enjoy smoking. I can't really say it any other way. Hello, Sir F. I hope you're well. We're being a bit hypocritical at the minute, slagging off smoking, and we're both sat here with a cigarette on the go, me and Craggs. So don't judge me. Okay. Any final thoughts on that then before we move on? Anybody want to weigh in? One final thing? Or?
I'm going to do my best impersonation of Craggs. No.
No, you didn't pause for long enough or stare blankly enough into the camera.
I'm not good at impersonations, but how's this? No.
Spot on. Yeah, spot on, mate. Okay, so next up then, we're on to the next one. There is alien evidence in the American Southwest. Now, whenever you mention aliens, especially on this Tinfoil Hat stream, this one can go on for a while. So I want to keep it relatively in a nutshell if we can. Conspiracy, E.T. is buried in the desert of New Mexico. Now, I don't mean if that means exactly... Oh, no, it does mean E.T. as in the franchise E.T. The truth, this one is real. The Atari video game E.T. I've heard of this one before. E.T. the Extraterrestrial failed so miserably that the company buried unsold cartridges in a desert landfill. Blah, blah, blah. And essentially, it's blamed for the video game crash, essentially, that nearly killed the video game industry, which was revived by Nintendo with the Nintendo Entertainment System and the first Super Mario Brothers game. Did you know about any of this? I'll start with Mark.
Nope, never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Okay, you heard of
I
this
think
before,
I do remember this story.
Yep.
Well, certainly that it failed and it was they just had to bury a load of the games in landfill. I don't know any more about it than that.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, essentially, this game was heavily publicised during the time of the old Atari consoles. Heavily publicised as, the next big game and all that lot. And then when it finally came out, it was an absolute sham of a game, absolute trash. And essentially, nobody bought it. Reviewers got their hands on it. And they printed off loads of copies thinking it was going to be like a bestseller. Hardly any sold. And now, the Atari version of E.T. the Extraterrestrial video game is now a very, very rare collector's item.
Yeah.
And officially, the company admitted who made the game that they did bury him out in the desert somewhere. And people are still trying to look for him to this day, because if they find that haul of E.T. the Extraterrestrial games, they're going to be quite rich. But then again, at the same time, if you find all the unsold ones, you're going to flood the market, aren't you? So it's,
it's
What's
contradictory.
it going to be any good anyway?
Well, no, but for people
buried
who
in the desert for years.
Yeah, retro game collecting these days has become quite an expensive hobby, from what I've heard. Yeah. Some games ranging into the thousands for certain limited edition copies. That's dollars or pounds, and that's all good. We're going on for 2 hours 40 on the stream, but obviously there's 5 or 10 minute pre-roll. I think we've covered a lot of great topics tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to round up in about 5 minutes. I'm just going to say me goodbyes and whatnot. I do thank everybody who's been in. Remember, next Sunday we're doing another conspiracy theory live stream, so I'm going to do my research on a few other topics. Obviously, I was quite busy over the weekend. I have been sort of reading some articles directly, but I'm going to do my research on some of them, really dig deep, and possibly have a couple of notes ready for the next one. So if you want to join us next Sunday, usual time, 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully you can adjust for any other time zones that are here. Yeah, we do a Wednesday night stream as well. That's general chat, multiple guests. So if you want to stop by for that, same time again, 10 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm just going to quickly check the AV UK page, because I was promoting earlier. Anybody who wanted to send in pictures or anything like that. And it seems as though, yeah, let me just have a look. No, we've had 0 pictures of people's hats, which is a shame. Which is a shame, because I thought this was going to be a good concept. Was going to hold a competition tonight for who could make the best hat. But I think you would struggle to beat Mark's, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree.
I said, as the host, I'm not going to enter. I didn't have enough time to make this afro. This was with 1.5 rolls of tinfoil. And essentially, I bought 5 rolls. So when I get the time, this is going to be adjusted to a point where it is one big afro with the sideburns, essentially. So next Sunday, you'll get to see that. Prepare your own tinfoil hats, and hopefully I'll get a picture through. If it's anything like this stream, you'll only need to send in a picture of the most basic tinfoil hat, and by default, you'll win. You know? But that's all good, and I appreciate everybody who's been here. Like I say, just before we go, you know, reminder, please check everyone's channels. I'm only going for a couple more minutes. I know that Roger's streaming now on the Canadian Drone Hub, so I'm going to post his link in there. That's where we're going to be next, so please pop over there and join us. His numbers aren't what they should be, I think, because there's a few of his crew in here, so I don't want to keep you all from good old Roger, like. So I'm going to post the link in there and put that right there. That's Roger's stream. I'm posting into the chat when it wants to load up. Give me 1 second. That's it. This is where we're going next, okay? Tell everybody that I said, you know, come over, you know, aerial views raid, whatever. Just say aerial views sent me. I know everybody knows Roger anyway. This is where we're going next. That's the link to Roger's channel. I hope you have a great week, a great productive week, or a great lazy week, whatever floats your boat. Big thank you to my guest, Mark from Centroid Aerial Images. Do you want to say a quick goodbye to everybody, mate, before I round up?
I've been having a blast, and I appreciate everybody coming in and showing Steve some support on his channel here. This is a lot of fun, and hopefully you'll come back next Sunday. Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you very much, mate. And Kev, do you want to give your final thoughts, mate, and say your goodbyes?
Cheerio, everybody. I won't be in next week's because I can't make it, but I'll be in the week after.
Yeah, that's all good.
He's lying. He's just going to take some time to make his next hat. That's why he's taking 2 weeks.
He needs a week off to construct his next hat. Right. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, for watching. Much appreciated. Like I say, the links to Craggs' channel and Centroid's channel are in the description. So if you want to check out their channels, highly recommended. Great channels to go and have a look and whatnot. And I believe you're into your live streaming a bit more these days, aren't you, Mark? So
I'm starting. I'm working out the bugs in the OBS. It's just don't have quite a format like you have. Right now it's just open chat, but I'm working on it. So
yeah, well, it's all good. Like I say, I'm just going to repost that link to Roger's stream at the Canadian Drone Hub. If you haven't been to see Roger at the Canadian Drone Hub before, I'm not kidding. He is an absolute legend. And go and say hello. Say, Aerial Views sent me. Or if you know him anyway, just say hello. Right? Because, yeah, I said to him earlier, I've got half your crew in here. Yeah, that's all good. And I'll catch you all next time. If I'm not in one of your streams or commenting on one of your videos, I do try and stay active. Very active in the community. And just want to say goodbye to everybody and thanks for showing your support. I hope you've enjoyed the stream, okay? And I'll catch you again real soon. All the best, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Cheerio.